Yeah, I know. All my
Yeah.
videos are not they don't have very many views, the ones I do on music. So,
Yeah.
okay, we're live, guys.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. So, who wants to talk about the butt conspiracy?
What
Oh,
conspiracy?
with Anita Sarkeesian.
Yeah, the Anita Sarkeesian conspiracy, the butts that they hide from men and they try to make the women's butts stand out because you're going to be playing a video game and looking at the girl's butt instead of playing the game.
Who knows the depths of the mysteries contained within the human ass?
Yeah, it's
So
That's
have
the
you have you?
I
Sorry, have you?
consider it. Oh,
Sorry, you go ahead.
matter.
Sorry.
I was gonna say you would think that the way they're treating this, there's some mysteries of the universe contained within somebody's jacksie there. That it's ridiculous, but that's what we got to deal with.
But
Can, can I?
they show men's butts all the time.
Yeah.
yeah.
Can I tell you what Anita's doing? What she's doing? Have you ever been in an abusive relationship where the woman's always complaining all the time, and no matter what you do, you can't win. She'll still find a way to complain about it, and it's not about the complaint. It's just an excuse to belittle and abuse you. So
Right.
that's what she's doing, basically. Because
Well,
even if the game's companies did what she wanted to do, she'll still complain about it.
Right.
I've
Basically,
said to feminists. I've said to feminists many times, well, we wouldn't have the need for men to mansplain anything if you wouldn't complain about every goddamn little thing.
No,
well, the thing is, what she's got.
this is challenging. It's just a shit test. That's all that is. But the shit tests are just out of control today.
Yeah, well, what you should do is just dismiss her out of hand, basically. Instead of trying to explain things, because it puts us in the defensive, just dismiss her out of hand and ignore her, basically.
Well,
Exactly.
the best.
Just tell her she's been abusive. You're being abusive. You're putting us in a double bind, basically. You're still complaining, because there's been cases where she complains about one thing, okay, then she'll complain about another thing. Even when, like, she'll complain about women being covered up, then she'll complain about women being showing themselves off being sexy. All right, she contradicts herself all the time. So she's just being abusive. It's a form of relational aggression, actually. She's just doing it on a large scale on the internet. And she's being funded to do it. And Thunderfoot is, I think Thunderfoot's got to stop giving her attention, to be honest, because she's not worth it anymore. She's just a con artist. So,
Well, the biggest thing is, and I forget who did the video. I wish I could remember who, but somebody was even talking today about how many women. It was a response video to that BuzzFeed crap about things men do that women are jealous of. And
Yeah.
one woman said something about how, oh, men can just buy the same shirt like 4 times over and then wear the same thing every day of the week. And it's like, well, yeah. And when women actually do that, they notice their stress levels have gone down the fucking toilet because that's the
yeah.
whole reason. It's trying to be fashionable and trying to give a fuck what other people think
Yeah.
about you so
The
goddamn
thing
much.
is, yeah, again, we shouldn't have to try and justify it. We shouldn't try and explain it rationally. It's abusive. Telling someone that you're responsible, someone else that they're responsible for their own choices, is abusive. It's manipulation. It's guilting. It's relational aggression. Again, it's bullshit that should just be dismissed out of hand. That's the problem. It should just be dismissed.
Plus, if you
Well, that
understand if you understand female nature, then she does that just to compete with other women. So who cares? That's her
well, now
problem.
here's the thing. Here's my secret to dealing with shit tests. It's
Yeah.
very simple. When a woman gives you a shit test of that sort, you just pat her on the head and say, "That's nice, dear," and then leave it alone.
Yeah.
Because that is the
I wouldn't
only
even do
right
that.
answer to a shit test.
No, in my opinion, the right answer is to tell her to f off and just walk away, basically, because
Well, in a way, that's what you're doing when you pat them on the
yeah,
head and say that's nice, dear.
yeah,
But you're saying, "Go fuck yourself" in a very polite fashion. Doing
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I usually break a smile and walk and go my own way.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
And, I'll tell you what used to happen to me as a kid with my mother, right? She used to complain about everything, right? Everything was my fault, everything, blah, blah, blah. And it was very nasty to do that to a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old, right? 9-year-old, 10-year-old, putting all the responsibility onto me, right? And I see the same tactics in these people. They're just doing it on a large scale. It's abuse. That's what it is. It's actually abuse. It's abusive.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what the whole concept of a cry bully is. It's somebody that wants to be abusive to you, but when you stand up to them and stand up for yourself, then they cry, "Oh, you're harassing or abusing me!" Oh. It's like, motherfucker, the dude that stands up to the bully in school ain't bullying the bully. He's standing up and defending himself.
Yeah.
Right. But they want you to sit there and, of course, take it. You know?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, she couldn't come out with a game worth of crap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The games that she's always talking about that are games that are like good for women and that have a positive reinforcement of women are like women with like one woman that she was talking about. You couldn't even see that it was a woman. It was just like squares, like blocks. It was like an 8-bit style game from like it looked like something that was made in like 1977. You know. It's
I
like
have to admit that I still enjoy playing all those old video games. So
yeah.
I can't say too much about that. But here's the thing. Yeah, they're saying that Zoe Quinn creature that fucked 5 dudes to get a good review on her crappy ass little text game. They're saying they're going to be making a movie out of that with Scarlett Johansson playing Zoe Quinn. Now my question is, how are they going to get away with showing the scenes where she fucked those 5 dudes? Not that I would mind seeing Scarlett Johansson getting railed, mind you, but I'm just wondering how they're going to get away with that.
They'll just lie or something. That's all. So if you're a student of history and you watch Hollywood movies about historical events, you know how they distort things for a narrative to make either to just lie, whitewash things, or just to make the story more appealing, to make it more palatable. So they're just gonna lie, basically distort things.
Well, it would
So
be nice, though, if people could get to the point where I'm at and just take a movie like that as the mindless entertainment that it is. I
well,
mean, you know,
so,
if
well,
that's why when they say based on a true story, that
yeah,
already gets the thought in my head that okay, this is going to be a load of bullshit, but it's
yeah,
based on something that actually happened.
yeah.
Yeah,
Do you know what I'm hoping?
absolutely.
Sorry, the best that we can hope for is that this movie flops. Okay, because if this
Shit.
movie flops, no, because when Anita Sarkeesian endorsed that game, the game she endorsed, and he tracked the sales on Steam, right, didn't increase the sales at all, at all.
Oh,
There's no,
you know,
there's no incentive to capitulate to these people. It doesn't make you money. So if they make this movie and
well,
it flops, it'll show that there's no
well,
incentive to capitulate.
I kind of doubt that the movie's going to flop because a bunch of guys are going to go see it just in the hopes that they are going to have the 5 different sex scenes and Scarlett Johansson's going to be naked.
I doubt it. Actually, female stars don't sell as well as male stars in Hollywood. Actually, so quite a lot of the movies, there's a lot of things that they just have sex to sell them. They won't sell. Like there's loads of examples I can think of. The first one that comes to mind is like Showgirls, right? Very sexy movie, complete flop. If the movie's terrible,
I,
it'll flop.
I watched that. I watched that movie when it came out on VHS, and I was like, "Wow, she's
Yeah,
hot," but this movie fucking
yeah,
sucks.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it will make money. I doubt it will make money, to be honest. So, because
I doubt that they'll even make it, actually.
yeah,
I
but I
mean,
want them to make it.
they're thinking about it, but I don't think they're even going to make it.
Yeah, but
You know, in this day and age, you can never tell because you know somebody might make that movie just for the hopes that it'll promote their little narrative, but when it flops like a fucking fish on dry land, I don't think they're gonna. I don't think
No, they'll
that might finally give them a clue that maybe we should stop doing this shit.
no, they'll do it more in like movies like the Mad Max movie or the Ghostbusters movie or the new Star Wars movie. That's when they'll push their feminist stuff. That's when they'll do
Well,
it. The
what
Ghostbusters
amazes
will be
me,
a good showing of how the feminist bullshit will flop in the movies.
well, what's finally going to get these feminists to probably either tone it down or quit altogether is when people start ignoring their stupid shit, because they go around and they claim, oh, women are underrepresented in movies and sci-fi movies in the 80s. And then somebody came along and posted pictures of all the main character women from the 1980s sci-fi genre. And it's like, you want to try to bullshit me again, motherfucker?
Actually, I would have to disagree with one thing, is because I think this is something that we forget historically, is basically in the 70s that we ignored them in the 70s, right? We just thought, oh, these people are a bunch of lunatics, they're just marching about, making fools of themselves, they're saying ridiculous things, and men laughed at them. And as we laughed at them, they suddenly took power, because they're very cooperative, they're very coordinated. So just ignoring them is not going to work, because that's what we did in the past. That's the mistake we made in the past, actually. So our instinct is to ignore them because they're silly, but that actually doesn't work.
Right.
Well, no, I'm not talking about us ignoring them. I'm talking about all the people they're trying to convince that are really not on either side of the issue to start with. Because
The thing is,
here's the thing: the bulk of the population truly
Yeah.
doesn't give a. They're not
Yeah.
paying attention to anything we're doing or that they're doing.
Yeah.
These people are just out living their lives and don't
They're
give a
useful
shit.
idiots.
Yeah, but the problem with that is it doesn't take a lot of people to cooperate and co-opt things and take them over. You see, there only needs to be a small minority of things of them. They'll just gatekeep things. They'll go into academia. They'll go into. They'll have organisations set up by the state to monitor workplaces and stuff like that. So they've taken on over online media. They'll co-opt things and gatekeep because most people don't care. They don't push back. You see, so not caring is not enough. There needs to be some pushback against them in some way.
That's why we're better off, though, if the bulk of the population doesn't really give a shit, but you got like us actually pushing back.
Yeah.
Because honestly, the average person, when they catch a whiff of the fart that feminism's letting go of, they're gonna become they're gonna shy away from it even more. It's not that they're not gonna care; they're just gonna shy away from it even more. And that gives people like us. I mean, I don't fight against feminism. I'm really making fun of it. But making fun of them is the worst thing they can have happen when other people are like shy away from them like they've got the plague.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll always have people who speak out, and then other people who'll just be spectators.
Oh yeah.
So what we need to do, this is probably never going to happen because it's against our nature, but we sort of need to mirror them a little bit, right? Copy their tactics. We need to organise, dish out some of their own medicine against them. Like we need to take over organisations and fire them from jobs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But it's never going to happen though.
Copying their tactics is the worst possible idea because they're using the lowest, most dishonest tactics they can possibly use. As long as we stay honest, I'll give you a perfect example. BBC's The Big Question that had Milo Yiannopoulos and what was her name? Ethel Smurf Twat and the creature from the Feminist Lagoon or whatever.
Yeah.
If you watch that show, the whole time these women were talking, Milo Yiannopoulos stayed quiet and let them speak.
Yeah.
He didn't interrupt them at all. As soon as Milo started talking, they got a case of feminist Tourette's and couldn't keep their fucking mouths shut.
Well, I don't think it's a universal rule. We don't copy them 100%, but there's certain situations where we have to sink to their level sometimes, in my opinion. Like recently, that woman who attacked a cab driver and smashed his car up, right?
Yeah.
She got doxxed. Her information got revealed, and she's suspended as a doctor. Okay, I can't remember her name. Okay, and there's people going, oh, we don't dox, we don't sink to their level. to be honest, since the justice system doesn't really work, okay, because I think she just got let off or something like that, and maybe
Yeah,
I'm mixing cases up.
police didn't even charge her.
Exactly. So there's cases where you have to sink to a level if there's no fair system for you. If there's no fair system for you, you have to sink to a level sometimes. If there's
But
no
to be
system.
honest, the Uber driver didn't want to press charges either. See, so you can't just you can't just say that it's enough just to push back, because the general population doesn't want to hold these people accountable for their actions. He should have pressed charges.
What you guys are missing is the fact that the court of public opinion is a double-edged sword, and these feminists are starting to learn that.
Yeah. So
That's the thing. That's why I will never, ever, I will never not say that doxing is the most cowardly thing you can do, because if you can't win an argument with somebody without stooping to that level, you should never have been in the argument in the first place.
Okay. But
here's the thing. This is why I say they are learning. They use the court of public opinion to destroy people's lives.
Yeah.
And they're learning now. Right now, they are starting to learn that double-edged sword is now starting to swing the other way.
Yes.
Like,
I agree with you.
Do you not think that Stephanie Guthrie is gonna have major problems, because she lost that case against Gregory Allen Elliott, a man that she put through hell for 3 years, and now the Canadian courts have declared him not guilty.
Yeah.
Stephanie Guthrie is going to have a hell of a time with her life, because now the court of public opinion, their eyes are going to be on her.
No, because but the thing is, you're not comparing like to like. If she was a man, she'll be far more damaged. She's a woman. At the end of the day, she can hook up with a man and live off him if she has to. She's got that backup. Basically, she can always find some white knight to hook up with. Unfortunately, she needs to be sued. She needs to be sued for slander or something.
Well, yeah, but she may be able to leech off a man, but as a feminist, that would destroy her ego more than anything else.
No, it doesn't. Actually, there's plenty of feminists who do that. There's plenty of feminists who do that. They don't think logically. The thing is, they want to have their cake and eat it. Basically, they want to have all the traditional roles in place on men, but they don't want to be constrained by them at all. So there's plenty of them that love to leech off men. They love it. They do it. They'll talk about independence and empowerment and still do it. They won't destroy their egos at all. You see, that's the thing. That's the thing. I want to add one thing before I forget. I disagree with doxing in most cases. Like, if someone's arguing with you, there's no case to dox them. But if someone doxes me, or someone that I know, I'll counter dox. If someone doxes first, you can dox back. To me, that's moral, in my opinion. Basically, if someone pulls out a gun, you're allowed to pull out a gun back. That's my philosophy.
Well, now I think I'm seeing a true Sherm. What's up there, Sherm?
Yeah.
Is the Shermanator here with us, or is he just ghosted? Sure.
By the way, I've just posted a link to a blog. It's about Twitter and how we've got to try and stop using it and replace it. It's only take a minute to read. I think it's an idea I want to help spread, basically. I put the link in the chat thing.
I think you're going to have a hard time with that, because Twitter's stocks are going down the toilet.
Yeah. It's because they've got too restrictive, basically. So it's blown up in their face. There's too many. I think there's too many high-profile arrests, too many bannings and stuff like that. So it's blown up in their face. So this blog post is about replacing Twitter with something else, something that's not. It's about something that's not centralised, a decentralised system that supports free speech, basically.
Well, that's just it, though. With the things they're doing lately. And I'm not going to say it was all centered on unverified Milo Yiannopoulos, which on that BBC The Big Question, that came down to being like the only thing that Ethel Smurf, whatever her fucking name is, that was all she could do was sit there and, oh, Milo, you're still verified on Twitter. And it's like, so fucking what?
Yeah.
But ever since they did that, there's been like that was like,
Magnus, we're having a hard time hearing you.
oh, God damn it. Not again. This gets fucking annoying because I'm sitting here. I don't know what's causing me to suddenly be hard to hear. I'll be back in my 2 seconds.
Sounds like a radio. Something. Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, Magnus. I had to let you know.
Yeah. Somebody's got somebody talking in the background.
Yeah.
The TV.
Like
So,
kids.
so I was talking about tactics. Like, in my opinion, in general, tactics. This is not 100%. There's no such thing as absolute rules, but if someone does something to you, in my opinion, it's generally okay to do it to them back.
Yeah.
So, if they don't do it to you, there's a certain standards of behaviour that you should abide by, basically. You don't sink to certain levels, but if they do it to you first, you should do it back to them without remorse. Because they instigated it and they've just said, oh, welcome back.
The problem with that is you want to show people that you are better than them because you don't have to do that. That's why with me, violence or anything in that arena is always the last resort.
Yeah. Okay.
But now that also goes along with my saying that I'm not going to start the fight, but I will fucking finish.
Yeah. You see, sometimes being too... You see, it depends on the circumstances. There's no absolute rules. You've got to judge each situation. Sometimes being nice is actually a disadvantage, basically. You have to be ruthless sometimes.
I never said you had to be nice.
Yeah.
Just use violence as a last resort.
Yeah. Well, then talk about...
well, see, that's the thing, though. If you're having a debate and everybody else is watching and you're staying on topic, sticking with the facts, and the other person is sitting there calling you names, shit like that, then you're not going to convince the person you're arguing with. You got to convince the people that are listening to the argument.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying though is that.
Well, I'm just saying, if the other person is calling you names while you're trying to stick to the topic and stick to the facts, it's always easy to see who won the argument.
Yeah, right. No, but what I'm saying is a lot of people do the nice guy act, and they've been doing it for a long time. Okay, and they tone police, and it's just an absolute waste of energy and an absolute waste of time. Let me give you an example that really pissed me off, and I'm still pissed off at this. This happened about over a year ago, and I'll never forgive this, actually. It was a cafe thing, there was a cafe event, okay, some feminists stormed it, right, they started making noise, started causing trouble, they harassed the event, basically, they tried intimidation tactics, and they uploaded a video, okay, cafe, of these feminists acting up. And it started to go viral.
You're talking about that Warren Farrell talk where they pulled the fire alarm and the girls sitting there telling me, you're scum, you're fucking scum. You should be your
No, there was another one, I think. No, it was another one. It was another one. It was another one. It was going viral. It was going viral. It was like getting thousands of views in an hour. It was going viral. And the person in cafe, right, he wanted to protect the reputation of the feminists because they'll get intimidated, he wanted to protect them from the consequences of their own actions, so he took the video down just as it was going viral. That's the nice guy act. That's the thing I'm talking about. And we've got to learn from that.
Wait a minute. If feminism is so strong, though, then why do they need men to defend what they're saying?
No, he's not even defending what they're saying.
Strong.
He's not even defending what they're saying.
They're just gaslighting. It's actually not strong at all.
Their strength is an illusion. It's like I said before, and I'll keep saying this until it goes viral and everybody's heard it. But their problem is intelligence without wisdom is like a gun without bullets. It may scare the shit out of somebody when you whack it around, but when it comes down to the real fucking deal, it's not going to be worth a fuck.
Yeah, but men give it power though. Yeah. White knights and manginas, they give it power. I mean, come on now.
Well,
this man didn't have the power of the fucking internet for 3 fucking years. Twitter and all this bullshit. Women don't run that. Men do. And men enable it.
Yeah.
And men know.
I was talking to a girl tonight about that on my page. She was getting on that video that I did about Kurt Cobain's wife, and she was the Courtney Love thing. and she was trying to say shit about that same kind of shit. You
Well,
know.
after Kurt died, she had a little bit of fame, and then disappeared up her own irrelevance. So,
Yeah, and everybody's trying to say that she's like the queen of rock, you know. And I was like, I don't know about all that, you know.
Yeah, the queen of cock, maybe, but
Yeah, exactly. Queen of rock. Well, I put on my video, like, if I was thinking of somebody that would be the queen of rock, it would be like Lita Ford or Joan Jett, you know, or
John is Joplin.
yeah,
You know,
Jett Joplin. Yeah,
that's the first person I think about when I think about Queen of Rock. That fucking old, frizzled old bitch. Please, you honestly think that I'm thinking of Courtney Love when I think of the Queen of Rock? If anything, I'm thinking of the Queen of Heroin. I'm thinking
yeah,
of the Queen of Cocaine, perhaps.
yeah. The only
Definitely
reason why she's famous and got big and her band was well known as
Was Kurt
whole, she
Cobain.
didn't just because Kurt Cobain stuck his cock in her. She's basically like, if you listen to her music and all these people are like, oh, she's such a great artist, and you listen to her songs and it's just whiny crap. She's making her money off of the same sound that Kurt Cobain had. Her music is very dated, and if you listen to her stuff, that she's making the same kind of music that Kurt made back in '93, you know, and it's the same shit over and over again, and she's just rehashing that style and using his style and really not making any statement and not making anything worth the while, and then they go and call her the Queen of Rock. It's like, nah, she's just because she has a pussy doesn't mean she's the Queen of fucking rock.
Going
Can I
back to what
interject?
I was
Oh, can I just, I
going
want
back
to,
to what I was trying to say earlier. Here's the thing. I don't know if any of you saw, but Durst, Mass FCZ, had a video where he was talking about male feminists griping about still being virgins at 40 years old. And at some point, we're going to have a conversation about that, because I'm going to actually attempt to explain to these idiots exactly where their problem is. What it is they confuse respecting women with being afraid of them and too afraid to stand up for yourself when you're around them. They don't understand this shit.
Who doesn't understand that?
Male feminists. They think that respecting women means you have to not make eye contact, keep your mouth shut when you're around them, blah blah fuckity blah.
But they would be weak men either way, though. They would be weak men either way. That's why they do act like that.
Well, but
Can I
that's
tell
just
you
it. It's like, well, I mean, one of the things I'm gonna try to
They're not going to
explain.
get a backbone just because you tell them that.
Well, no, I'm not. I don't give a shit if they do. That's the thing. But what I'm
Right.
gonna do is take pity on them and try to explain what their problem really is. If they take the advice, fine. If they don't, well, fucking ever. I'm running my mouth on the internet for free, so I'm not. It's not like I'm getting paid to teach these assholes.
Right.
can I interject about that subject? 'Cause I've known plenty of people like that. I've been in the same situation myself. Society teaches us that women are scared of us, right? And looking at them, being too aggressive with them will make them scared of us. A lot of men end up very neurotic and nervous around women because of that. Men are very sensitive, actually. So if you tell them these messages, it's going to fuck them up in the head. It's going to fuck up.
Well, what feminism is truly teaching women, and this is the best analogy I could come up with. Have you ever walked through the park and there's been a group of birds standing there? You don't care about the birds. You're not even paying them any attention. But as soon as you get anywhere near them, they just jump and fly away like you're chasing them around. That's what feminism is trying to teach to women, is to be like those birds, that you're not paying attention to them. You don't even care that they're there, but they're so afraid of you that they're going to jump and fly away when you get anywhere near them.
They're not afraid. Come on. That's the thing. They're not afraid. They're feigning it.
Have you seen any of these? And I'm sorry to interject, but these kissing pranks. Were just really. I'm not trying to be like gay or anything, but he's an attractive guy, and he's going around fucking kissing all kinds of women, fucking women with boyfriends, women who are married, fucking, and it's like, it's showing me as a guy that for all these years, all the shit that any woman could say about all this romance and all this, it's all bullshit. It's the women from what I'm understanding, They like spare of the moment fucking. They
Yes.
like on the whim. They like that sense of danger that, oh, this guy who's fucking me, he's not going to say anything. And it's like they know that they're going to get the benefit of the doubt from society because no one's going to question them. No one's going to ever point the finger at the female and say, you know, why did you do this? They're never going to do that. They're always going to look at the guy and say, oh, he's the bad guy. He's the evil one. And that's why motherfuckers don't want to deal with women anymore, man. They want to stay far away.
Sure, but have you ever actually sat down and read like the romance novels that these women love to read?
It's fucking ridiculous.
It's some
This
of the
50
shittiest fucking. It's some of the shittiest fucking stories you'll ever read.
this 50 shit. I call it
What you're saying.
50 shit of Grey, right? 50 Shit of Grey is a book filled with a motherfucker raping a chick with objects and shit, beating this bitch to death. It goes against everything that these feminists are crying and bitching and whining about.
Yeah,
But
50
yet,
Shades of Rape.
I posted a.
50 Shades of Rape. It's 50 Shades of Rape.
Can I interject, please? Please, I'm going to make a point.
yes, I yield the floor.
Yeah, I've just posted a blog post related to what you've just been saying. Basically, if you look at the chat thing, it goes, most women have met a partner through grinding or butt pinching. That's what it says. So what you say is absolutely correct. It's been proven by.
Here's the main reason why I keep telling guys, and everybody might think I'm full of shit. Some people might actually realize what I'm saying is true, but there's a reason why I tell guys, look, go watch pickup artist videos, because these guys are what they're showing you is you can never actually pay attention to what a woman thinks. You have to go by what she reacts to.
Hello?
That's one of the biggest things, because if you like that 50 Shades of Rape book,
Hello?
look how many women went fucking gaga over that fucking book, and then just try to figure out, okay, if women say, oh, this is bad, this is horrible, men shouldn't do this, and then they're wetting their fucking panties over that fucking book, what does that say?
Hypocrisy at its finest and most obvious, because it's like, you remember the whole that Twilight meme where it says pretty much, if this was 40-year-old men screaming for a bunch of fucking teenage chicks. And the funny thing about Twilight is that in the movie, the character who's playing the vampire, that motherfucker is 140 something years old, dude. That is the most I don't know, defined fucking pedophilia. That's pedophilia, motherfucker.
And Bella's like what, like 15?
She's like 16 or 17. She's barely in fucking 11th or 12th grade. But she's got the hots for a 141-year-old man though.
Well, that's because he looks like a teenage boy. That's where the cognitive dissonance comes in.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Then how about?
Well, hang on. Here's the thing. Anybody who knows anything about vampire legends or ever read any vampire lore is whatever age they were embraced, turned, whatever term you want to use for it. At whatever age they were changed into a vampire, that's where they stop aging. It's like, that's why they're the undead. They practically died, but because they're still alive, they don't age. So yeah, that's the rub in it. But anybody who forgets that very sentiment, it's like, motherfucking vampire could be 500 fucking years old and still look like a 15-year-old boy. Fine, that's cool. But what age? Age doesn't signify like how your body has changed. What age really signifies is how much experience you have. Now I'm sitting here saying, okay, I've known people 60 years old look like they were in their 30s. The only way you couldn't tell by looking at them unless you looked them in the face and looked at the eyes, and when you look at somebody who's old enough, you kind of see the experience in their eyes. That's where that comes in. So, it's easy to forget that vampires, stopped aging at whatever age they were turned. and and that's where the cognitive dissonance comes in, because it's like, oh wait, this guy's a vampire. That means he could be 1,000 fucking years old, sticking his dick in a 16-year-old girl. It's still like, he's robbing the cradle and she's robbing the grave. I mean, that was one of the funniest memes I saw about Twilight. Was it showed the vampire and the werewolf guy facing off, and it was like, Twilight, the story of a girl's choice between necrophilia and bestiality.
and you know something funny about that fucking whole series? Toward the end, right when the little baby was born, the fucking vampire, or not vampire, but the werewolf man was falling in love with the fucking baby. And this is how it was justified to me, right? This is how it was justified to me by some stupid ass chick. Oh no! When he looked at her, he knew. He could see into the future, their love. I'm like, that's fucking bullshit. So you mean to tell me all these pedophiles sitting in prison, can they use that same excuse that they saw the future and that they knew that these little girls was gonna be? You understand? Like, that's bullshit, man. Like that.
Seeing the future isn't bullshit. It's proven scientifically that your memory sees both backwards and forwards. It's called intuition, number one.
Well,
but hey,
here's
to each their own, man. I come in, rocking and, guns blazing.
Well, that's just it. Here's what a lot of people tend to forget. These feminists and social justice types are, they're doing their damnedest to justify pedophilia. And I tell them, look, regardless of what justification you use, kid fucking is still kid fucking.
Exactly, and that's what I was saying with that comment. Go ahead, Magnus. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, the only thing I was gonna add to that is, and it's wrong. Period.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to say that you can't see the future. I'm just simply saying that you can't use that excuse for the excuse of pedophilia. That's all I was saying.
Well, now to me that would have been a whole different can of worms. if it would have been like when she hit the age of 18. Then something sparked between them. I wouldn't have a problem with that. But
no. The story.
Almost like that scene from Family Guy where Bonnie finally had that baby, and Quagmire's standing in that whole group of them and said, "Hard to believe she's already 18."
That's what I'm talking. Like, I have no problem if you're a werewolf man who's over 1,000 years old who wants to love a fucking 18-year-old chick. But the story of Twilight goes that this werewolf man fell in love with a fucking baby. I don't care what you try to justify. I don't give a shit what you try to say. He fell in love with a baby. Okay? It's a goddamn baby. It's disgusting. And if any other circumstances happen like that in real life, you women out there know goddamn well you be fucking disgusted. So how come in this fucking movie, in these series of movies, with the Christian Greys and the fucking Twilight people, is this kind of shit acceptable? But all I'm hearing from feminism is men do this and men rape this and men are men and men and men and men. Like, give me a fucking break.
For some reason, though, sexual assault is acceptable when a woman does it, but not when a man does it. That's the part that's starting to bug the shit out of me. It's like, look, either it's wrong for both to do it, or it's acceptable when both do it. One or the fucking other. And the reason I say that is because if that's the way it is, then women will never be the equals of men, because when men do it, it actually means something.
Oh, I thought Nathan was going to say something on that.
No, bro, like, you guys doing that same shit, crying. That's why I don't join these, like, hall things that you guys do, because all it is crying most of the time. I understand there's a problem, but crying ain't going to solve it.
So, what's your solution?
Revolution is the only solution.
And where's your revolution at?
Oh, it ain't going to happen, bro.
Okay, so how you gonna tell me a solution to a problem and you don't have the solution?
The solution is to let the problem decay.
That's not what motherfuckers have been doing with feminism all these years, and now look at it. So that didn't work. We ignore Christians We ignore Christians and we ignore like certain people from certain Middle East countries, and then they end up fucking coming back and blowing up a motherfucking city. So
Look,
forgetting the
I'm gonna
problem
tell you right
isn't
now
the same
that
as solving
all
the
the
problem. That's what I'm
negativity
saying.
that we sent over into the Middle East is gonna come back to this country. All that fucked up shit we did over there, they're gonna invade eventually. Like, you think
Yeah,
it's not gonna
motherfucker.
happen?
So a lot of this is cause and react. It's a fucking reaction to every action. So what else are we supposed to do besides spread the word? If we are talking like what we're doing right now is considered crying, then I don't understand what else are we supposed to do. Just let these motherfuckers just what? I'm trying to understand your logic here.
I don't know, man. Like, whatever you're doing now hasn't been working. I mean, you've been talking
No,
about this shit
that's
for a
not.
while.
There were two gentlemen who were having a discussion. That's not crying. They're having a discussion.
Well, now here's the thing too. At the end, it doesn't
What are
cost
you
me
talking
anything
about?
to come on the. Well, it doesn't cost me anything to come on the internet and say what I'm thinking. And if somebody else hears what I'm saying and says, you know what, that's a thought I didn't have before, and then they do something about it. Well, there you go.
Yeah,
I think
it's a discussion.
we
And
all
let me
know
ask this
Tifa here.
question. Let me ask this question real quick. If we're crying, then how come you're not in a feminist hangout right now telling them that they're crying?
I'm sure there's crying everywhere.
But why are you here then?
Exactly. That's what I'm
Anyway,
wondering.
Why?
what I was gonna say is, you all know Tifa, right? You all know Brother Tifa.
What about him?
What about them?
He linked one of probably the better videos where it says the economic system is basically against the nuclear family altogether now anyways. And I think that is the most important part, is that the economic system is against the family now.
Yeah, well, we know that.
So unless you can change an economic system, really nothing's going to be done.
Well,
And
I don't
anything
know.
after that is crying.
I gotta give Mr. Sherm here props because he's got a nuclear family going, and that's despite the fact that the economic system's rigged toward it. So I got to give him kudos for that.
Yeah, and me and this chick been arguing for the past week, and we still like living under the same roof, working together, buying fucking horse shit for the kid. So there's this is to me confusion to like what this apparently this modern day thing is supposed to be doing to me and my family, because the way I see it is that you have feminism coming up saying all this like rhetorical shit, damaging shit, and it's like it's really up to us to come on here for free to spread information to let men know, hey, this is what's going on, to try to in tune to them the information. This isn't, it'd be one thing if I'm like, fuck Anita Sarkeesian with those big old ruby red lip bitch. That'd be something entirely different. But I don't care what she does. I only want to combat her ideology in a sense because I know it's somehow in one way, shape, or form or fashion affecting a community that I direly love. That's
the
why
question
you have
you should be asking is, how do we stop brainwash from happening?
what we're
You
doing.
you put up points and you discuss those matters. That's what I'm saying. Nobody's crying here. There's no point in coming on and sound like a tough guy.
You can
It's
only
really
you
just
can
a
only
bunch of
do that
brainwashing.
if
Saying
you
stupid
talking
bullshit.
about it.
Stop
So
the
People are
brainwashing.
having a discussion. So
Let
what are
me-
you saying?
Let me put it this way: nobody has ever changed anybody else's mind by keeping their mouth shut.
Exactly. So exactly.
Yeah, you got to put the ideas out there so that people can hear them. That's the way you stop the brainwash is by allowing the younger kids that are growing up with these feminist moms going to feminist schools and graduating and then going to a feminist college and being around women and white knighting for them their whole lives. They find these videos on the net and they start watching.
I don't know, man. I'm in this
and they
end
learn.
of day scenario where it's like there are Nazis everywhere.
What?
I'm in this end of day scenario where there are Nazis everywhere. Basically,
Yeah,
everybody's got their
they're-
strict fucking mind control helmets
Yeah,
on,
but
and everybody
there are-
wants to do their own thing and
There are
be in the
black people
brainwash.
everywhere. There are Asians everywhere. Dude, what are you talking about? Yeah, you're right. There are all kinds of different people out there. But to what am I supposed to do? Just not say anything? Just, oh yeah, they're Nazis, fuck them. Let me just carry on with my life. I was like, dude, first and foremost, I have the right to say something about a dirty ass Nazi if I want to. Second of all, like, if I like, okay, say for instance, there's somebody out there that wants to say something about my black ass. Okay, let them say whatever the fuck they want to say, because I know in the back of my mind I can say whatever I want to say, and that's how I know that we're keeping this thing called freedom of speech alive. Because if we start going into this realm of you can't talk about this or you're crying about this, then all that shit's gonna do is eliminate how people really feel.
I don't understand how people aren't self-aware enough to the point that they're imbibing such bullshit. It's like they all drank the fucking Kool-Aid, man. How do people stop drinking the Kool-Aid?
What?
Exactly it. If you don't point out that the Kool-Aid's got cyanide in it, how the fuck are they gonna know?
Yep. A lot of guys growing up just don't know
the thing
this
is
shit.
even with people pointing it out, still people died.
Well,
still
I'm not
people
dead.
drank the Kool-Aid. They still drank the Kool-Aid willingly, even though they knew it was poison.
I'm not dead. I was getting ready to drink the poison Kool-Aid until a video on YouTube woke me up. Let me tell you a name. Patrice O'Neal. Patrice O'Neal, I consider to this day to be my cult leader. He's been dead since 2011, but he's my cult leader. If it was not for Patrice O'Neal, I would have drinking the poison Kool-Aid years ago. So there is a purpose for what these men here are doing, okay? And it is to combat the ideology of what feminism is doing, because they believe in their mind that they're right. However, whenever we get into these little debates or discussions, it has been brought to my attention that one side is always bringing facts, while the other side is dodging these debates. The other side is dodging information, dodging facts, and we all know that they're doing it. Now, regardless of the fact of how much change, because there is change happening, regardless of whether you believe there is or not. There's a thing called MGTOW. Okay, regardless of whatever you do, these men's money are no longer being dedicated to the dating form that once was dedicated to. Like, there's not half as much money going into restaurants. You want to argue about this? You fine. That's all in the game. But these are facts. No, there's not a large majority of men giving all their money to all these cutesy things anymore. Because you know why? There's a lot more women who are now in the job market. A lot more women who have to be forced into the job market, and there's a lot of men who do not feel that they have to compete with these women. They feel like they're just simply wasting their time because these women's standards are extraordinarily way too fucking high. And just like what Magnus was saying about the birds in the park, we could barely walk toward them without them going and flying away and some shit. So it's like,
yeah, I agree.
Feminism has made the dating cycle so fucking impossible for regular dudes.
It's like this. Love wasn't supposed to be a competitive sport. It was not supposed to be a competition.
Oh, come on, man. It always was. It always was. Even back before civilization, love was some sort of competitive thing. We was always fighting over pussy. So,
yeah, but at the same time, they had tribal ways of dealing with these sort of things. Like,
and we do too.
We all got one.
They had tribal ways of dealing with it because they knew.
I'm muting my mic.
Here's a modification for what True said. A modification is that love has always been competitive. The problem is what feminism's trying to do is love was always competitive between men versus men, women versus women competing for mates. What feminism's done is fuck that up and made another branch of men versus women.
They made the dating pool toxic, man. It's not just hard, it's toxic. It's dangerous.
And that's why I like True, because he talks some real shit. And here's my biggest problem with it. What a lot of people don't realize is that part of the reason why I'm probably on the shit list with a few of the MGTOWs is these are the guys that's like, women are evil. You should never go around women because they're just evil. And I'm like, dude, that's like saying retarded people are evil. They're not evil. They're fucking retarded.
Yeah, see,
They're dangerous. That's what they are. I wouldn't say evil. I say extremely dangerous.
Yeah, Nathan, I'm not trying to like attack your point of view, because dude, sometimes, trust me, I feel like that all the time, where it's like, this is pointless. My God, what am I saying here? Am I even saying the right thing? But it's like, at the end of the day, as long as I'm not like, I want to punch these feminists in the face, it's like, all right, well, that's kind of like taking it too far, Like, I don't want to go around dedicating my entire life
Being
to
angry.
worrying about what women do, dude. That, to me, that is giving more power to women than actually paying for them and shit like that, to me, in my mind. But it could be different for other people. So, I mean, that's just my interpretation.
But you guys are spreading a message by talking to it. You have a prime example right here. That's how I got into MGTOW, was from the podcast.
Of course.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, now, James, here's the thing. The only thing I decry in the MGTOW movement right now is that there are guys out there trying to make men afraid of women like they've got like scorpion tails or some shit, when it's like, no, the only time a woman can have power in your fucking life is when you allow them to. If you just say hello to one, like I talk to women all the time because they're most of the cashiers at fucking truck stops where I stop and get fuel or coffee or whatever. And it's like, there's no harm in talking to them. Talk to them like they're a fucking man. Tell a fart joke, make a fun, whatever. Just treat them like you would another man, and it doesn't change what they're capable of. What it does is in you it instills a realization that these women can do nothing to you that you do not allow them to. Like, if a guy's simping to a woman, it's because he's afraid of what she might say, think, or do around him. And when you get to the point where you don't give a fuck what a woman thinks about you, you just say what you're going to say and then go on your merry little way,
I
that
don't know,
helps you.
dude. I'm getting to the point where it's like we need a Burning Man because everybody's divided amongst everything because of religion, pills, emotional abuse, money. Like, there are so many fucking things to divide people over. It's like people have gotten so fucking disconnected that they need something just to fucking bring them back to their knees so they can fucking return to Earth.
Well, that's what this is for, man. It's to me, I see a hangout like this, and I see, dudes trying to help. All right, look, I've seen plenty of like pussy whip dudes, and what Magnus is saying, dude, 100% true. Women's power, and this has been said by Patrice O'Neill, women's power is your fucking fear of what they're going to do. Just like what Magnus just got through saying, man. If you don't care about what women are going to do, now I know I'm not really answering your question about the society and shit, but it starts with here, dude. It starts with dudes. It starts with men. Okay, if men don't know how to stand up for themselves, then dude, we're in a lot of trouble, man. We really are.
But they should still be cautious because they still do have law on their side.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like
that's the thing. A lot of guys the way guys grow up nowadays. I mean, when you grow up in a family and you're a guy, your dad left when you were 4 years old, and then you have a mother and like two sisters or something, and you grow up in a family like that, and then you go to a school and all of your teachers are women, and then you graduate high school and you go to a college and you start going to college and all the teachers are women. That's all they know, and they think that that's right. So when these women are telling them they're oppressed and this, all these, the pay gap is real and all this bullshit, when they start saying that kind of stuff, all that stuff kind of it shows them, it makes them believe that stuff
worship women, basically,
and what brings them into the forefront so that they can actually understand is when they find these videos. They find videos on the net. Most guys that have found out about MGTOW or that have came to MGTOW have found people's videos like Sandman and Turd Flinging Monkey and Teal Deer and people like that. They've actually found those videos. They've listened to what they've had to say, and then they start thinking about it, and they go, yeah, they're right. And then they stop dating women, and it's just...
Here's the realest shit that I can possibly say is, all right, think back to every interaction you've had with a dude that you just stood there and you just talked to him, and you told your jokes, you said what was on your mind, and then think back to every conversation you've had with a woman. and think about how differently you acted around her because vagina, and think to yourself, why the fuck did you act so differently when talking to a dude out in public? See, somehow these people can't disconnect it in their mind that when you're talking to a dude, you're not thinking about sexual interaction at all. Somehow,
Magnus?
Uh-oh, we lost
Darn it. Well, I do understand what Magnus is saying, but I would suggest being cautious. Like, you don't know if you come across a crazy one who will attack you. Oh.
huh?
Then let her attack, because you know what? She's
No.
gonna be the one that looks like the asshole. Just like what's
No,
her name?
but the cops though, which side would they be on?
Look,
I don't know how much.
Pull a Jay-Z, put your hands in your pocket, and let that bitch lose her mind. Let me tell you something, man. I remember I was walking down the street downtown San Diego, man, and I remember some chick did something, and I was like, "Shut up, ho!" And some other like dude looked at me like with this disbelief, like he couldn't believe I said that, and I'm like, he came up to me, he was like, "How could you call her a hoe like that?" I'm like, "It's easy. You just call her a hoe. Look, just shut up, hoe, and she gonna get mad. She gonna and then you know what you tell her after all that? Okay, ho, I got you. She gonna keep on clucking. She gonna keep on, dude. Fuck what she does. Okay, you are the dude. Okay, no matter what because a lot of dudes think, oh man, I'm interrupting my chance for pussy. Fuck that pussy, that funky ass thing. Look, let me tell you something. There's plenty of pussy out there. Just like they say, there's plenty of fish. There's plenty of fishy pussy out there for you to get. Trust me. All right? It pisses me off whenever I see guys like Chris Rock getting half their shit taken from them from a woman who didn't do no fucking comedic work whatsoever. How are you entitled to half of my life's earnings because you popped out a few of my units based on biology? You see, this is what happens in this bullshit society when we treat pussy over dick. It shouldn't be either or because both organs are funky. Both organs smell like fishy crap, man. It's a mess down there for both men and women, okay? Nobody wants to see old funky balls just like nobody wants to see old taco meat funky pussy lips, okay? It's like we are living in a society where a bunch of dudes worship. I'm sitting in the hospital waiting for my kid to be born. Ain't no one had me no motherfucking ice chips. Ain't no one asked me how I was doing. You know what I'm saying? My dick is the reason why we're here. But it's all about pussy, dude. We need to get out of that mindset. That's just my opinion, of course.
No, you're right.
Oh yeah. Well, men need to stop the worshipping, and pedestalizing. A lot of men do that.
Call her a hoe. I'm telling you, it'll get over that real fucking quick. And not every woman, but a woman who deserves it. If she comes out of fucking Kmart yapping, then shut up, bitch. What are you... Like, don't be one of those guys who's like, shut up, No, you gotta
I mean, I understand that, but even the ones who, stick up for themselves most of the time get screwed over in the end. I'm not saying, don't date or anything, but just be very cautious.
Dude, you're gonna lose regardless. You're gonna lose. It doesn't matter.
No, I know that. I'm just saying, like, no, I know we're gonna lose in the end. I still do it.
You're just trying not to get shot in the face. That's all. You're trying not to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, go around and take a little crops from the plantation and run back, but I'm not gonna sit there and wait to get screwed over.
No, I'm not. Like I say, I'm not saying go out there and do it to every woman. I'm just saying the women who deserve it.
Well, now,
there's moments where you gotta put your foot down.
I'm sorry, Magnus.
I think my internet died off back there while I was in the middle of saying what I was saying. But here's the biggest point of what I was saying before. Until the woman's in your bedroom or in a hotel room or wherever with you, and she drops her drawers, you should not even be contemplating sex.
Yes. Good. Yes. Absolutely.
You should be thinking about what you've got to do and what you're doing, what you're after, your goals for that day, until she drops her drawers and says, come get some. You shouldn't even have sex on the brain. I mean, unless you're just entertaining yourself or something, then maybe. But other than that, you should be focused on what you are in the middle of doing. Until she drops her drawers, sex should not even be anywhere in your thought process.
In other words, don't live for sex. Live for yourself.
Exactly.
Because the pussy gonna come. Don't worry about the pussy. Just live your life. Because I see a lot of dudes out there living their life for pussy. They're not they're like, they go out and they buy the nice car, but they're not buying the nice car because they like the nice car. They buying the nice car because they know that pussy is usually the main contributor to nice cars. That's a good old Dave Chappelle joke.
They work 40 hours a week. They do all this crazy shit for what? I find that insane.
I'm gonna tell you guys something you're probably gonna laugh at, but I've gotten laid more for driving shitty cars than I have for driving nice cars, and the reason is because the girl's looking at that shit car I'm driving and thinking, if he's got the balls to drive that. And it's because I wasn't thinking about what car is going to get me the pussy. My thought was, this car is going to get me from point A to point B and back again. Fuck
Amen, dude.
the car, because that's the function of the car is to get me to where I'm going.
Yeah, that's why I wish Nathan was still here, man. Could have saved him some money, man.
Well, but that's why I don't discourage guys from getting into like relationships with women, but I will encourage them till the day is done to not fall into the baby trap, to not fall into the marriage trap. If you want to fuck a girl, go for it, because that's part of the human experience. But just don't fall in where she can nail your ass to the door unless you absolutely know for 100% that you can trust this woman with your fucking life. Because when you knock her up, you practically are trusting her with your life, a.k.a. your child.
Oh, and trust me, I have a kid, so every single day is a reoccurring paranoia that something's gonna go wrong. So unless you wanna just have that kind of stress and worry, and plus on top of that the bills, the food. If anyone out there wants to know what it's like to have a kid, you may ask all the questions you like. Trust me, I'll tell you all about it. And I can tell you right now, it's nothing that you want to go through. Unless you are really, really ready, it's nothing you want to go through. Okay, exactly. So you better think long, and you better think harder than your dick, because I'm telling you right now, them 18 years is going to make your dick look like a stack of dimes.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been married 4 times, and I've got 4 kids. I know how it is.
And that's why I so truly do not give a fuck about what other people think about what I say and do, because at the end of the day, what I say, think, and do only matters to me, and if what I've said has helped somebody else, that's great. If people think I'm full of shit, whatever, because, like I say, the only person my opinion truly should matter to is me. Yeah.
That's right. Do not be afraid. Before I go, because I got to kind of take off here, but before I go, do not be afraid of pussy. It's just pussy. It's only pussy. Do not be afraid of women. Do not be afraid of chicks. Do not be afraid of what they do. I'm kind of like, what's your name, dude? I'm kind of like what James said. Okay, be cautious, obviously, because you don't know. I don't like going out being facetious to women. Like, I'm not gonna go out there and just be purposely mean to a woman. But if you're being loud and you're being obnoxious, and you like, I seen this dude the other day getting cursed out. I'm like, dude, fucking leave her, man. Fucking go to your car. Drive
exactly.
Off.
They literally sit there and take it. And I'm like, dude, there's like over 1 billion other women out there. Come on.
That's the problem. These guys are being trained to sit there and take it. You shouldn't take disrespect from anybody, unless her pussy's lined with gold or pops out cheeseburgers or fucking has.
And even then, fuck that.
Yeah, man, because your dick should be able to do the exact same thing. Like, your dick is valuable, man.
Well, yeah, but here's the point I'm trying to make there is, taking disrespect from a woman like that, what you should be doing, I ain't saying to slap her. I ain't saying to punch her. What I'm saying is, when I say don't take any disrespect, you just give her a look and fucking turn your back and walk the fuck away. That will
Exactly.
You know what I did, man? I fucking I went to a gas station. I was like, "Hey, baby, go put 20 on 8," and I drove the fuck off. I let her keep that $20 for whatever she wants. If she want to use that $20 to call a taxi and get her ass home, that's what that $20 is for. See, I'm a nice guy. I gave her $20, but she ain't gonna be putting it in my motherfucking gas tank because I'm already gone.
Exactly. Because that's how you gotta treat them. You gotta treat them like, hey, you're a human being. You know.
Yeah, and if you're not gonna treat me like a human being, I'm leaving your ass at the gas station. Fuck
a lot of these simps and manginas look at themselves as human doings instead of human beings. They think they're there to serve instead to, live for themselves, which is insane.
And that's exactly my point about the other end of the MGTOW spectrum that keeps bitching about women are evil, women are evil. It's like, dude, do you realize when you keep saying that, you're attributing special super godlike powers to the other half of the human fucking race. They're humans. They're just as retarded as men are, even more so in some cases. Treat them like a fucking human. Do not treat them like they're this fucking evil Hydra monster that can destroy your village with one fucking flick of the wrist. Stop doing that.
Yeah, man, I'm not gonna treat women lower than me. It's not about that. It's about this whole paradigm of love, expectancy, providing, supporting. Men and women, we both have a role to play, regardless of whether you want to disagree with me or not. We have a role to play in this life. And what feminism has done thus far is completely turned whatever men and women were supposed to be on its fucking head. And that's my biggest problem. I gotta go, guys. You guys take care. Round Table, it has been fucking great. This is great talk. You guys do not give this up, please.
Hey, True.
I do them every Saturday.
True.
All right, buddy.
I got doing a hang
Bye-bye.
later on if you want to show up, man.
Hell yeah, man. Send me a link.
All right.
All right, peace
Sorry
out, guys.
about that. I had to take a call there. Sorry about that. There's one point I want to make. There's a point I've been dying to make for ages. Let me make it. Okay. We're talking about the nature of power because I think Magnus said that power that they hold is an illusion. That is true, but in one sense it's not true because actually power is perception. And as long as people perceive they have power, it's actually not an illusion. It's only an illusion when people's perceptions change. And it's got to be enough for people's perceptions to change. Because to use an analogy, right, the king's power is based on perception if people follow orders. And if only one person sees an illusion of his power, it's actually not an illusion. Power's still there because everyone else is still going to enforce his rule. So power is perception.
Here's the way I would modify that and give you an idea of why I say it's an illusion. Because the power they have under the law can only be enacted on you if you meet the requirements. If you never meet the requirements, like to go to jail for assault, you have to be
I can't hear you. Hello?
Yeah, hello?
Very muffled. It's like I can barely hear you.
I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah,
Okay.
his mic gets quieter and quieter.
Yeah.
Where he's at.
Yeah. So, what have you been talking about while I've been away? He's back.
Okay, is that any better?
There
Yes,
you go.
much better.
Okay, now what I was saying was that power is not an illusion totally, but it is because it's power that in order for them to use the law against you, you have to meet the right set of requirements for them to be able to do it to you. A woman could accuse me of rape or assault, but if I'm not even in the same state that she's in on the day and time that she said I was, then she has not met the requirements. And I have federal requirements to keep a log of everywhere I am and everything I do. So I'm double protected.
What he's saying is not an absolute statement. It's a gradient. It's a scale. Basically, there's certain requirements that you meet, the probability drops, basically, but you're never 100% safe, no matter what, because you can always get railroaded by the system.
Yeah.
And
That's
there have
just
been,
it.
yeah,
I do a job where I'm never 100% safe, but I
yeah,
feel comfortable doing it. That's the difference.
yeah,
If you feel
yeah,
comfortable enough to go out in the world and do what you do, in
yeah,
spite of the statistics and the danger, then your life is going to be that much better just on its own. I mean,
yeah,
right now I'm in Washington State where I'm going to
yeah,
wind up having to pick icicles off my nutsack later because it's that
yeah,
cold. It's raining, it's snowing. My safety levels have dropped into like anywhere from 15 to 30%. That's how safe I am right now. But I'm
yeah,
not worried about that because I know that I know what I'm doing, and I know that if something happens, there is nothing I can do to stop it.
yeah,
The patriarchy.
yeah,
See, if you can feel comfortable enough in the fact that you are doing what you're doing, it's all about the whole risk and reward thing that women are so jealous of. Men take
yeah,
the risk. We risk our lives
yeah,
because the reward is there.
yeah. Well,
And they're
some rewards are illusions, though, basically. So, like
well, but that's
earning,
just it. You have to decide if the reward that you're going for, like we were talking about,
Oh, we lost him again.
hello, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's certain actions that you can take to minimise your risk. Like, in my opinion, get off Twitter if you're on it. That is a cesspool, a waste of time. There's been too many high-profile cases of men being arrested for nothing, basically. So
I have two Twitter accounts, but I don't even actually use
Yeah.
them. That they actually automatically load like videos I've done, and like
Yeah.
when I'm on Facebook and I put stuff on
Yeah.
Facebook, it like automatically uploads to there. So I hardly ever even go on it. I only go on
Yeah.
it if I get like private messages, which I get some MGTOW content providers that actually private message me, and then I have
Yeah.
one for my business account, and that's really the only reason why I even have one. I never even go on it. I never like other people's stuff on it. I
Yeah.
never contact anybody on it. I don't even care.
Don't get into Twitter arguments with people.
Yeah,
Waste of
I
time.
don't. I never. I don't think I've ever actually had a conversation on Twitter with anybody.
Yeah. Okay.
Never. And I've had a
case,
Twitter account for like 6 years.
Yeah. That case in Canada, that person didn't even do anything, and he got arrested. So.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. They do. I am cautious around them. I'm not scared, but I'm extremely cautious because they do have the power to ruin your life. That is a fact.
Even if the risk, yeah, that's a fact. Even if the risk's very low, there's no benefit from it. It's a waste of time. There's no benefit from it, so there's no point. Even the risks like 1.0%, there's no reward. I'm just getting into fruitless Twitter arguments, so it's just not worth it. Hello?
Hello? Yep.
Yeah,
I'm here.
Are you
I'm
there?
here.
Sorry, I just finished making my points, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like we lost Magnus again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Crossing Ways is muted. I think she's at work.
Yeah. So, what do you think about that fine law in New York City?
Oh,
I
the
think
$250,000 law?
Yeah, that's what that's going to do. That's actually going to breed resentment, in my opinion. It's going to
Yeah.
make things worse.
I think what it is there's some people that actually think that transgender people and gays want rights that other people don't have. And they don't seem to understand that these people don't want rights that other people have. They want the same rights as everyone else. So they want to have the right to go into the bathroom. They want to have the right to get married. They want to have the right just do the same shit everybody else does. And what they're trying to do by making those laws is saying, well, see, they want things that we don't have. Other people, if you walk up to somebody and somebody has long hair and you say, hey, ma'am, can I help you or something? They turn around, they're like, I'm a dude, or something. That doesn't get them the ability to actually be able to sue for $250,000. But if you do that to a transgender person, then it does. So see, they want rules that they don't have. But here's the thing: the $250,000 fine that they're going to give you doesn't go to transgender people. It doesn't go to the person that you just did that. It goes to the state. So they don't get. They're not going to get any of that money. So it's not about them even. They're not. They're not getting any profit from that. They're not getting anything from it.
What's going to happen if that law actually gets enforced? It's going to lead to vigilante justice. What's going to happen? You're going to get some working class person. They're going to get fined. They're going to get bankrupted, right? And they're going to kill someone over it.
Yeah.
If you destroy, eventually, if you destroy people's lives, you're going to send some people nuts. You're going to make them mad. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, and it's just going to breed resentment. Yeah. So I think they know what they're doing. Actually, they want to.
Yeah, I think I've always thought that they're just trying to make transgender people look like bad. Basically, they're not actually wanting to help transgender people at all. It's all
where's Magnus at?
He slipped out because his mic was screwing up, and then he hasn't.
Here's the thing as well. When it comes to groups of people, it's always the majority of people are going to be decent and normal, but there's also going to be a few nut jobs who rise to the top and get all the attention, basically, and that's what I think is happening as well. It's always the nutty ones that get attention, they get media attention, they act up, they do ridiculous things, they play the victim, they get all the attention. While the normal people, they don't speak out.
My apologies,
there he is.
My apologies, folks. My signal dipped out while I was in the middle of saying what I was saying.
Yeah.
He goes out again, comes back in, he's like, oh, and then he leaves.
Yeah, well, the Pacific Northwest ain't known for being very technologically advanced. What can I say?
Yeah.
Well, we'll speak about group dynamics, how like nutty people within a group can gain all the attention and give a group of people a bad reputation, basically. So.
Oh, for a certain demographic?
Well, for like trans people or MGTOW or absolutely anyone. People come right to the top and they get all the attention. They become groups known for. It gives people bad reputations, in my opinion.
Well, what the part that pisses me off about that is those are the people that are looked at when another group of people wants to say, see, these people are full of shit. See.
Yeah. And here's another thing as well. Human beings are not very fair, in my opinion. Most people will generalise very quickly. If they have a few bad experiences, a lot of people will generalise a whole group and write them off. And it's not fair.
That's why feminism co-opts a lot of other people's narratives. So that way they take advantage of that. So that way people blame other groups instead of the feminists and social justice warriors. And it takes the heat off of them.
Well, that's just the problem, and that's the reason why I keep telling people to quit giving a fuck what other people think and stuff like that. Because what it is, learn what's important enough to actually care about. Like, I care about my health and well-being, but if it's somebody else's opinion, I don't give a fuck unless they say something that's like, you know what, that actually sounds legit. I can care about that person's opinion.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, too. I don't have to agree with every fucking word they say. That's the difference. I can agree with most of what they say, but I'm not going to sit there and suddenly decide they're full of shit because they said one thing that I disagreed with. That's what a lot of people in this world need to learn, is that you don't have to agree with everything somebody says. You can have disagreements with each other.
Correct.
What are you eating?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm having a little breakfast. Some quinoa, some little bit of macaroni.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, two vegans on the set.
Oh,
Mm.
you're vegan. You're vegans, are you? I can't. Sorry,
Yeah.
you're evil. You're evil.
Yeah,
The cross.
two vegans.
Yeah, but I don't go around shaming people for their diets, though. So.
No, I don't give a fuck either. They can eat whatever nasty shit they want to eat. You know. The only time I get the only time I get down on them is when they get sick and they have heart problems and they have cancer and then they're whining about it and I'm like, shut the fuck up. You did it yourself. You know,
Well,
you smoke
that's
cigarettes
exactly,
your whole fucking life and then you get cancer. That's your fault. You ain't got nothing to bitch about. You did it to yourself.
and that's another thing I keep trying to teach people is exactly what Shi-Nu just said. Anything that happens to you like that, you did do it to yourself by doing either something wrong or not realizing you were doing something wrong. That's why I hate feminism so much is they want to lay the blame for every little fucking thing that happens at somebody else's feet. And it's like, no.
Not somebody else's, men's feet. It's not somebody. They just blame us.
Well, they'll even blame like women against feminism for. Well, that's why women still get raped is because y'all don't take this shit seriously. You're not women. It's like, motherfucker. The reason see anything that
That's
happens.
so funny how he said that.
He's right though. He's right though.
Well, but that's just it. You know, they don't want. I keep telling people, look, if you learn to take the blame for your part in whatever happens to you, that will make your life so much better. And I know it sounds counterintuitive. I know it sounds like bullshit. But if you think about it, that's why my life is so much better. Is because I quit thinking, oh, well, I didn't get this job because blah, blah, blah. And it was always blaming somebody else. When I was finally like, you know what? Nah, I actually could have done that job interview better, or I could have done this, or I could have done that. And it's like when I started taking my part of the blame, not all of the blame, but
Well, it's not even about blame. It's just it's about focusing what's in your control,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. But the thing is, if you don't notice your mistakes, there's no way you could grow. That's why the feminists is staying the same. They blame everyone else. I notice my mistakes. That's why I grow. That's why
how you
I
learn and grow. If you acknowledge your own fuck ups, that's how you learn not to make that mistake again.
exactly.
I don't remember exactly who said it, but it's one of my favorite sayings is those who forget history are doomed to repeat it. And that's
Yeah.
not just true. That's not just true in the macro of history. That's in the micro too. In your own life, if you don't learn from your own fuck ups, you are doomed to repeat them because you're going to do the exact same stupid shit that caused that problem in the first place.
You are correct.
So has anyone seen that video by Spinosaurus?
Which one?
Kin. That stalker doctor.
Oh, you mean that goofy little fucker that was sitting there? He took his shirt off. This is what you got to deal with if you keep talking bad about feminism.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that. That was so funny. Jesus Christ. I'm like, I'm bigger than that guy. I could take him if I want to.
Well, that's just, he's big talking because that's what feminism teaches these dudes. It either teaches them how to be these dumbass douchebags that think they're going to whoop everybody's ass if they badmouth feminism, or they create these little girly wussy pies that can't do shit to start with.
Yeah. That guy should have kept his shirt on. That's all I'm saying. He should have kept it on. He looked more intimidating with it on.
Yeah, I want to make an announcement because he's been stalking me as well. I've phoned the police on him. I've dealt with him basically because I made it. It was he originally was stalking me at first. Then he started threatening Spinosaurus kin. I made a deal with him 2 weeks ago, basically saying if you leave me alone, I won't contact the police. He broke it multiple times, and he's being dealt with, basically, and he's been made an example. And if the police prosecute him, I've got a crime number. If the police prosecute him, I'll make a video about it, because people like him need to be made an example out of, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was threatening an 8-year-old boy. He tried to dox an 18-year-old boy, basically, and pick on him, which is not on. Yeah. So he's being dealt with legally.
That's why I say that's the kind of shit feminism has created in these weak ass men.
Yeah.
They can only, you know, like that's why I try to talk. That's why I do what I do, is try to talk to guys and be like, look, just mind your own business, and if you want to get into a debate with somebody, that's fine. If you wanna go up against somebody's beliefs and have a debate with them on that, that's fine too. Just remember that, you know, until somebody starts threatening your life and your existence, there's no reason to get bent out of shape over it. Just say your bit and go on with it, you know. But it's people like that. That's why feminists and social justice warriors have got to be the most weak motherfuckers I've ever seen, because they feel like they have to dox somebody is to try to get some kind of revenge against that person for trouncing their fucking arguments and showing them how full of shit they actually are.
Yeah. It's just social bullying, basically.
Well, yeah. And it's great when it blows back up in their face, like with Laughing Witch and Thunderfoot. That was great.
Or Stephanie Guthrie and Gregory Allen Elliott. That I'm going to celebrate that for a while.
Or that woman with the Uber truck, the woman who attacked the Uber driver. That was good too. They have her face on the internet and everything.
Well, that's why I said earlier, the court of public opinion is a double-edged sword, and it's starting to swing in the other direction.
Because that nasty, she was a nasty little bitch who basically came from a rich family who thought that she could treat somebody like shit, you know, and the public is like, well, what the hell? Why isn't she being charged? Why isn't she? And now people are like, why isn't she being fired from her job and all this other stuff? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not saying I agree with it or whatever, but people are saying that. People are like, what the fuck?
Well, wait, is she getting fired from her job and everything?
I don't know. The job, her place.
Because if she isn't, that's really messed up.
Well,
it's really one-sided.
Got him fired from his job.
Suspended. I think she's just suspended at the moment. Fired.
Well, she's suspended at the moment, but she's not fired yet.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I think I'm fizzing out here, but I don't think you guys are talking about what I was talking about.
No, I just brought her up just because. It sounded like it was on the same.
It might be more than one case, actually. That's the problem.
Oh, the Uber driver?
No, there's more than one, I think, going on at the moment.
Well, I'm talking about the recent one that happened in Florida.
Was that the taxi driver?
Yeah. It was a little woman. It was like a little Indian woman.
Yeah, she's the one that's suspended from her job.
Okay. All right, since she's suspended. But she's suspended until they figure out the extent of what her punishment is going to be.
Well, doctors, I've spoke. There's a doctor who's claimed that even if he gets arrested, right? Even if he gets arrested, he'll be fired from his job. This is doctors in the UK. I'm not sure how it works in America, but doctors are held to very high standards of behaviour. Actually. Yeah. So.
Well, she wants to be a neurologist, so I mean. Yeah. She's she's definitely in hot water. I mean, her face is out there no matter what anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, her shit's out there.
Well, that's what happens though with injustice. If you don't have a fair system, people will take the law into their own hands. That's just cause and effect. That's an inevitable result. It's going to happen. If you don't have a fair system, people will take the law into their own hands.
Well, yeah. Well, people know that she's, you know, because the police haven't charged her, so people are speaking out saying, "What the hell?" So she can go ahead and get away with, you know, hitting because she kicked the police officer too. That was off tape. So she kicked the Uber driver, she kicked the police officer, and she's trying to get away with all this bullshit. And people are like, "Now what the fuck?" Because if that were a man, you know, that person would have gotten beaten up or killed, or at least have been charged. At the very least.
Tasered. There's people who've been tasered for mouthing off to cops. Basically, they just whip the taser out, cuff them, and carry on tasering them. She was very lucky.
But this isn't the first time I heard of like a drunk woman acting up. You know, because that's actually the type of people that taxi cab drivers or drivers are basically afraid of, is drunk women. Because once they're out of control, you can't do anything.
I wouldn't do that job. I wouldn't do it in a million years. Actually, I wouldn't want to deal with the drunk people at night.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would only do it if I had the ability to. In my car, I would set my car up to where I could lock the doors in the back to where they can't unlock them, and that I could. I would have like a bulletproof glass behind my seats. You know, so that if they were doing something wrong and acting like complete idiots, I could just drive them to the nearest police station, get out of my car, and go into the police station. Come out and unlock the car and just tell them, like, you know, this bitch is nuts.
That's illegal, actually. You can't do that.
That's kidnapping.
No.
That's kidnapping. You can't
Well,
do that.
it's only kidnapping if they're like being belligerent and they're gonna try to like hit you, or do something like that. Well, like there's like chicks that will like take their stiletto off and start trying to bash you in the face. So if I had bulletproof glass behind me, I wouldn't have to worry about shit like that.
I wouldn't take that risk. I wouldn't take that risk. That's bad advice because they might perceive it as kidnap.
Yeah, they wouldn't see it as kidnap if you take them to the police station. You know, that's why I would do it. It would be for my protection.
It'd be the thing you should do is just what you'd have to do really, boot them out the cab right away.
No, but they have to, like, what if you've taken them someplace? You know, I mean, what if you've driven them like 15 or 20 miles? It's not you're kidnapping them. They owe you money. And they're like acting like idiots and spitting at you and like taking their stiletto off and trying to like poke you in the head. If you pull up to a police station and you go in and you say, "Look, this woman, I just took her, you know, a while and she owes me like $15 and she's like throwing her stiletto around and she's spitting at me and all this stuff and she's out in the car. Could you, like, I want to press charges."
Under UK law, I'm not sure about the USA. Under UK law, that would still be considered false imprisonment.
Yeah, that wouldn't either. Plus, I would have something else that you would definitely want to have in the case of something like an Uber or a cab would be a video, like a surveillance.
Well, yeah, you should always have that if you're doing a public drive like that.
In the back seat, because then if she says he locked me up in the car and wouldn't let me out, blah blah blah, you could show the police officer the video, roll the tape.
Yeah. Well, that's why that girl was caught, was because she someone was recording it and then someone put that out on the internet.
Exactly. That's how you catch them. You got to they take advantage of the fact that they're going to be believed over a man.
Yeah,
so as soon as you flip the script on them, they're fucked. They start crying and whining, and they got caught, you know, being an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. Cameras are a great equalizer, thankfully. So.
Yeah. That's the best thing you could do in that case. If I was, like I say, if I was an Uber driver, I'd want like 1/4-inch plexiglass behind my seats, and I'd have those door locks that are like smooth, to where when somebody gets in the car, they just poke up maybe like maybe less than 1/4 of an inch out of the door, and they're smooth, so you really can't pull on them, you know. And I would have them back there, and when they get in, I would, like the cabs here in Japan, when you get in and when you get out, the door automatically opens for you, and you don't have to shut the door; it automatically shuts. So when you get in the car, it would automatically shut the door, and then they wouldn't even think about that. And then, you know, you could have a sign there on the door that says, like, the door automatically opens, please don't, like, you know, open it up, you know. So when they get in the car, they couldn't jump out, which would save trouble, you know, like if you have drunk people and you're driving down the road and then they like try to get out of your car or something and they like get hurt. So it would save the liability of that as well. But then if they start being belligerent or doing something crazy or something like that, you just pull up to the police station, you have a video on them, and then, you know, you go inside and you grab a cop and you say, look, this woman's being crazy, she's being belligerent, You know, she's been yelling at me and stuff like that. And when you come out of the police station with the cop and she starts saying like, oh, he like kept me hostage in the car and blah blah blah. And it's like, if I kept you hostage, why the fuck would I take you to the police station? You know, and then you show and then you show the video of what she just did, and you tell the cop, look, she owes me like $25 for the cab fare, you know, plus any damages that she's just done in the back of my car, and then I want to press charges on her, you know, and then unlock the door and let her fucking ass out.
That's one thing that pissed me off, is that driver, he didn't press charges.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's the best thing to do to him. Press charges, always. You know?
Podcast.
He didn't press charges. He's like, I don't want to press charges. I'm like, you're an idiot.
Yeah, you need that. The more girls like that get charges pressed on them, the easier it'll make it for everybody else.
Exactly. He doesn't know that. He was at a pivotal moment.
Be on the record. All that shit needs to be on the record, you know, so that the more women that get prosecuted, the more it looks better.
Because he had a golden opportunity. Because basically, with that footage, he could have had charges pressed when the police did an investigation. Because after the investigation, the police weren't going to file any charges. So he should have done that. If he would have pressed charges, then it would have been the public. See, and this is the problem. You know, society is going along with what the people are doing, and men like him aren't going to press charges.
Yeah,
and that's stupid. Yeah, absolutely should press charges. He just let her get away with shit, even though she acted like a complete freaking animal.
Yeah.
Not on my watch.
Did you hear about Mattress Girl? You know about Mattress Girl?
Yeah.
No, what about her?
Everybody's heard about her.
The person he falsely accused, he sued the university, he sued other people, he sued everyone but her. Everyone but her. You see?
Yeah, you see, that's what I'm talking about. Sue everybody except for her. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And then people want to sit there and cry anti-feminism, and people want to go ahead and talk about shit, but they don't want to sue the person.
Yeah.
Who caused all that bullshit in the first place? Like, is it they're not responsible for their behavior? Well, they're not if you don't hold them accountable. So it's, you know, people have to take responsibility for, you know, not suing or pressing charges on people who need to have that done on them.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
These men are put through hell, and yet they're still mangina sims. They're still, you know, and I don't care if they come from a single parent household. I don't care what their story is. That's their fault. There's something wrong with them. They should have known better.
Yeah. Well, anyone who does that to me, I'll destroy them. Basically, legally, I would have no. Well, there was this case. This woman, she falsely accused someone, right? And it was obvious that she was falsely accused. So the man was suing her, right? He was suing her. And I think he was trying to press charges as well, outside the so-called legal charges. So she was actually going to go to court. And what she did, this was in the UK, she killed herself over it. And the media tried to make a pity story out of it. It says, oh yeah, this sort of thing would discourage victims of rape, blah, blah, blah. But what I say is good. Absolutely great. I'm glad she killed herself. That's a deterrence factor. No pity. She tried to destroy a man's life, put him in prison, get him raped in prison, because that's what will happen to him. What happens to a lot of rapists in prison? If they don't get raped, they get beaten up and they get their genitals mutilated. Okay? Or they get smashed in the head, or people put glass in their food, right? In a lot of ways, that's worse than death. I'd rather be dead, putting out my misery, than put in a situation like that. So it's good that she killed herself. Good riddance. We've got to have that heart. Anyone who aggresses against men like that, we've got to have a heartless attitude against. No more Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah. Did you guys see what Whoopi Goldberg had to say about the guy that attacked the girl on the train in New York after she tried to hit him with her stiletto?
Oh yeah.
The guy with the 8-ball.
Yeah.
8-ball jacket or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, Whoopi went off. She's like, if you're gonna put your hands on somebody, you don't know who you're touching, and you gotta. A lot of these girls need to start to realize that a lot of guys have had enough of your shit, and if you're gonna hit a man, he's gonna hit you back.
Yeah, that's not enough. They need to press charges. Like this guy who went through the court case for the whole Twitter thing. Is he gonna sue for slander and defamation of character? You know, if he doesn't, then he's a part. He's a part of the problem too.
It's malicious malicious prosecution as well, in my opinion. It's malicious.
You're right.
Totally, yeah. But anyway, that guy who hit that woman, the 8-ball jacket, he slapped her. He slapped her. He held back. He slapped her because I promise you, if he punched her with a closed fist at even half strength, he would have taken her head off. He would have taken her fucking head off. That's what I would have done.
You guys should see this one video that I found. This guy was talking about that video, and he was talking about how women need to start to realize that men have had enough of your bullshit. And they showed this picture of some dude on a bus, and there was this girl that was talking.
Yeah.
She was, doing her whole, like, shaking her head or whatever, doing all her bullshit. And the bus driver got up, and I don't know if the bus driver was the one saying it or if it was somebody in the back, but he was like, "Oh, you did it now. You're going to fucking hell." He said something like that.
You're going to jail now.
No, he's like, "You're going to hell." And he just like got out of his chair. He walked up to her, and he just uppercutted her in the fucking chin, full blast, like a dude. Just laid the bitch out. And then he like picked her up and just like threw her off the bus, like on the fucking sidewalk. It was fucking amazing. It was awesome.
Yeah, but what he said to her was, if you're gonna act like a man, I'm gonna treat you like a man.
Yeah, it was fucking awesome. I was like, this is fucking great.
You can tell from the body language. You can tell from the body language that these women, they feel socially dominant. They feel like they're in charge. They know they're socially dominant because society lets them get away with this. And if you talk to girls who don't like other girls, they'll tell you how girls pick on other girls. They're social bullies. Right? If they've got social power, they'll pick on someone without remorse. And it's the same dynamic with men, because men have been lowered in society. And women see themselves as superior so they can do what they want. And it's going to backfire. Because if you put men in a society where they've got nothing to lose, a lot of them are just going to lash out, basically. And they're going to lash out. What they're going to do, these are probably men who've been abused their whole life by women, right? And they've held it in, and they're going to fucking explode. It's just going to come out. It's going to come out. And here's another thing as well. When I was attacked by a woman, right, I just froze. Because you've got this instinct not to attack a woman back, right? And if she keeps on pushing it, you snap eventually. So you go from freezing, then you just snap and panic. That's what goes into play.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
Because a lot of these videos you can tell, like the men, they just go nuts, basically. Like they just get pushed too far, and a woman don't
most people don't like confrontation either. See, that's the thing, and they don't expect it from these women. They don't expect the confrontation. See, and that's only because they know that men are going to hold back. See, I won't ever have that issue as a trans woman because I'm usually like the biggest one in there, but I'll freaking pass, and they're like, okay, I'm not gonna mess with this one because if this one swings, and she won't hesitate to swing, my head's gonna fly off.
Yep.
Female privilege extends. When it comes to a female and female fight, no one breaks it up. Men are baffled. They think, oh, these are both women. We can't touch them. We can't stop them.
Exactly.
Neither of them. So, yeah.
Exactly. No, exactly. And when you have that look, that oh shit, she can kill me, they're not gonna try you. They may try you in the workplace and shit like that, where they think that they can get some type of bureaucracy bullshit going on. But on the street, they're not gonna try that shit.
At the most, it'll be passive aggressive, basically, indirect. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they won't really try and fuck with you, you know.
Yeah.
You know, that's the greatest thing that I learned. So and plus I don't know. There's something different about being trans too, because I wouldn't hesitate. I wouldn't hesitate. I've been doing martial arts for 10 years. They find out real quick.
Yep.
That's how it is.
That's the nice thing about being trans is like, you know, you don't, you know, they'll say like, you can't hit him, you're a man. It's like, no, I'm a woman.
Well, it's not just that. I don't have like, just like, you know, Alex says made a very good point about hesitating, but I don't have that hesitation. I don't have that need to protect a woman. Like what brought me to the ministry of the MGTOW wasn't because I got divorced or I had kids or I don't have any of that. I've never been pressured to do anything by a woman that I never wanted to do. So they don't have that type of control over me. So if they were to try some shit, I don't have that protection mechanism that men have. I don't have that.
Yeah. Well, that's what we were talking about, like how they learn. A lot of guys, because of the way they're raised nowadays with no father figure, they're raised to think that that's the way you're supposed to be. And when your sisters and your mom are always telling you that you never hit a woman no matter what, even if she's coming at you with a stiletto or she's got a gun on you, you know, or something, or she's like punching you and she does it every day and no matter what, she's your girlfriend. You're never supposed to hit her ever, even if she deserves it. Even if she sits her whole day and tells you how much of a loser you are, even though you're working your ass off, giving her money and buying her all kinds of clothes and you've got a nice house and shit, she's still able to treat you like shit and you're not allowed to hit her, even if she deserves it. You know? So a lot of guys think that that's the way it's supposed to be, that you never have a reason to hit a woman. But a lot of guys are starting to realize that that's not the case. You know, if a woman comes at me, I'm gonna punch her in the face.
Well, traditionally, women are supposed to be ladies. You know, a woman is just a description of a fully grown adult female. But a civilized human being is supposed to be a lady, just like vice versa. A grown adult male is supposed to be a gentleman. But women are throwing the whole lady part out, so men are like, fuck the gentleman bullshit. I'm just going to be a fucking man.
Exactly.
Here's another thing as well. Even a lot of MGTOW make this mistake. They go, oh, women are children, they're irrational, blah, blah, blah. But I'm telling you something, women are not children, because I know this for a fact. If there's consequences for them, right, and actually this does work on children anyway. Even with our children, it's mute. Consequences, negative reinforcement does deter women. Okay, the way people speak, like it's hopeless, there's nothing you can do about it, all my children, they're irrational. No. If there's negative consequences for women, they will modify their behaviour. And the one thing, women are actually more risk averse than men, actually. So the one thing that we can use to modify their behaviour, we're not willing to do.
Is risk.
It's really pissed off. Not risk, punishment. If you're more risk averse, you're more likely to modify your behaviour due to punishment.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Alex. That's what I'm saying. Like, these men who are pressing charges and holding these women accountable. See, this is the reason why they feel like they can get away with shit. Because they don't feel... Because when a man presses charges, they're like, oh, shit. He's not going to be passive with my bullshit. It says something to her. You know? But these men, they send out the wrong messages. Oh, let me sue the school and let me sue... Yeah, that's all fine and good. But sue her. Sue her.
Women have an agency. She did this maliciously, basically. She's not some... Women have agency.
She did it because men always allowed it.
Yeah. They've got agency, like anyone else.
Exactly. Men allow it. Men allow it. You know, they allow the bullshit. They don't sit there and say, you know what, this is some bullshit. You know.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just go around acting like a savage, like fucking animal. You know, and I don't know why men are so afraid to say it, because they're afraid that they're going to be seen as pussies, or I don't know what the fuck. I really don't know.
No, they're afraid to be seen as misogynists. There is consequence. If you're generally seen as misogynist and it spreads around, there's going to be social consequences for it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
See, it's still a very powerful word, misogynist. It's abused and overused, but it's still got a lot of social stigma.
Yeah, but calling someone's bad behavior out is not misogyny, though. See, that's the thing.
It's not misogyny, but it'll be seen as misogyny. Holding women to standard is misogyny.
I don't know if a woman's acting out and you said and you sit there and you look at someone and you say, if this was a gentleman, you would allow that to go on. Like, I would just sit there and just make people fucking think, you know, or at least let people know. At least let people know, because men don't do this. At least let people know this is unacceptable to me. And I'm not going to be in this environment because you host a negative environment. I've done that at work.
Yeah. Do you know the dictionary definition of misandry and misogyny is different. The dictionary definition of misandry is hatred of men, even if it is in a dictionary. I think it's only in online dictionaries. The dictionary definition of misogyny is hatred and mistrust of women. You see, so there's an extra. So if you don't trust women, it's misogyny, according to the dictionary. It's a double standard. There's a lower threshold for misogyny than there is for misandry. Basically, there's a societal double standard.
Right.
Yeah.
You've got to listen to and believe women.
Yeah.
So they're like gods in a way.
Mm-hmm. Well, men, let me tell you something. Men today are very stupid. I know a man who just allows like stupid bitches to get away with dumb shit in his company, and it hurts the company. But he doesn't, he doesn't care, because as long as the pussy's happy. So when I look at a lot of straight guys and they're complaining about stuff, but they don't speak out, it's like, well, there's a reason why. There's a reason why all this shit goes on, because unfortunately a lot of it is allowed by these guys.
Yeah. A lot of it is.
And nobody doesn't want to say that, because there's already a war out on men, and a lot of people would probably look at me and say, "Oh, well, you're being a traitor." It's like, no, I'm not. I'm just being honest about what I see. And if you talk about fixing the issue and fixing it socially, all the movements always started socially first. It never started as a political thing. It always started socially. And men can't just sit there and cower or whatever. They didn't sit there, but I'm not dealing with this shit. So either change it or I'm fucking out. Yeah. I'm out of this bullshit.
Well,
press charges, sue.
Yeah.
Bill Cosby should sue all those bitches for not bringing forth any evidence.
Yeah, well, do you know, I'm gonna do a reply video to this cunt, because he's a vile, disgusting human being. He's a dog turd of the lowest order. I'm saying this right now. It's US Tech Review or something like that, if that's his name. And he did a video on Bill Cosby, and he's such a fucking mangina, because he just declared him guilty, right? He declared him guilty. Then he talked about men in Hollywood, producers getting young women, because women, they're attracted to fame and status, and young teenage girls, right, of legal age, 16, sleeping with these men. He was talking like the victims, right? The victims that have been degraded. He can only believe that if he thinks male sexuality is inherently dirty. Okay, women, young sluts. Right? I've got nothing against sluts. I don't use the term slut as a derogatory term, right? But that's what they are. A whore is a derogatory term. Or there's not concise. A prostitute is not derogatory. I don't like prostitutes, but they're honest about what they do. A whore, right, is a woman who pretends to be in a relationship and cheats the man or exploits them. That's a whore to me. A slut is just a woman who likes sex. But young sluts, right, who fuck high status men, they're not victims. They're not victims. But there's this person saying they are. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And plus, people are doing that. You are setting up the same argument that feminists use for the pay gap. Oh, well, there's a pay gap, which means misogyny. People sit there and say, oh, well, there was, Bill Cosby offered drugs and they had sex, so therefore rape. And that's not true. I bet you all those women, they did have sex. And I bet you that they did drugs, of course. Why wouldn't they? It's Hollywood. But that doesn't mean that it was rape.
No. Well,
not at all.
The thing is, it's a standard they're not applying consistently, basically. If two lesbians have drugs and fuck each other, that's not rape. If a woman gives man drugs and fucks him, that's not rape. It's only rape when a woman takes drugs or drinks.
Men aren't speaking up. Men aren't going to be like, you know what, Men should even joke. Oh, you know what? Dude, I'm saving so much money because I'm not buying women any drink and any alcohol because if the idiot gets drunk, it's rape because she doesn't have any responsibility over her own alcohol.
Yeah, I don't buy.
Men don't speak up.
They shouldn't fucking buy it on general principle. They shouldn't buy. Like there's one time this woman she gave me signals, so I started flirting with her. I was really cool, it's like 3 years back, and when I started flirting with her, she started talking about, oh, take me out to a nightclub and all this fucking nonsense. And I said, look, no, I just want to fuck. I'm not interested in this time-wasting nonsense. And she cracks up laughing like I was a fool. She was laughing at me like I was a fool for not being a fool. So I just walked off, right? And if a girl wants to fuck, at the end of the day, she'll fuck you without any of this dating nonsense, right? She generally wants to fuck. If you're taking her out for a date, right, you're buying a prostitute. You're buying a prostitute that you may not be able to fuck anyway. So you take her out and she'll rinse you. It's actually disrespectful male sexuality. My sexuality is valuable to me, right? I'm not going to degrade it. This is what men are not taught. So on general principle, even leaving rape out of it, men should not buy women drinks or drugs, basically. In my opinion, she should show touch on any drugs or drinks she gets. If she wants to get high, she should pay for it herself.
Right.
Yeah. Women who work the same hours get paid more than men now. There is no pay gap. What there is, there's hypergamy and a consumer spending gap. Men, due to this is the thing that really pisses me off. Women do not discard their gender roles that suit them. They want men to buy them shit. They want men to provide for them. Okay, so they do 80% of consumer spending. Men hand all that money over to them. That's why there's a fucking pay gap. Because men have got an instinct to bond with women and have relationships with them, and women are taking advantage of this fucking instinct. It's not a pay gap. It's a money earned gap, and men are handing all their money over to women. They earn 70% of the money. Women do 80% of the consumer spending. The money's coming from men. See, that's pay gap should be dismissed out of hand. That's the thing. When a pay gap gets brought up, we should go, no, fuck you. There's a consumer spending gap. Men are handing all their money over to women. Right? Women, it's a money earned gap. They're lazy. Get off their asses and earn their own money.
Yeah.
Right?
But I don't think any of that's gonna happen. I mean, like, I don't think that men are ever going to, as a whole, are gonna wake up. I don't think. I mean, I just like these communities because I get to learn and I get to discuss because I know I'm gonna use the information. But most people are not. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest.
Well, I noticed a lot of them they'll go back to the plantation. A lot of them they'll use it, but it's only for so long. A lot of the guys, they're like, I hate women, blah blah blah, and it's usually because they had some girlfriend they didn't, that slept with their boyfriend, their best friend, or some shit like that. And then after a while, they meet some girl, and then you don't hear about them anymore. And that's why a lot of guys are doing content creating, and they do it for 6 months or 8 months, and then all of a sudden they disappear, and you don't see them around anymore. And the reason why is they found a girl, and they're probably even married, and they're living with some girl, taking care of some other dude's kids, and there's a lot of guys that really just they don't actually have any self-awareness to realize that you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't use your wealth and your money and your time taking care of somebody else, especially when they don't appreciate it.
The thing is, it's bad when the thing is, right, you can only hate something really if you love it. Yeah. And I still love women instinctively. I still love them. I've still got very strong instincts to them. When I last slept with a woman, I've only had one good sexual experience in my life. I've had loads of awkward encounters that made me feel depressed. I've only had one good experience in my life. And the feelings I had for this woman were very, very fucking strong. So, but I'm self-aware. I don't deny it. If you deny something, right, like if you're a closet case, if you're gay and you're a closet case and you deny it, you're more likely to sleep with men, in my opinion, and lose control. If you're in denial. But if you're aware of your instincts, you can control them better. You have to compartmentalize them. And the thing is, I'm not letting emotions rule my judgment, right? Whether I hate women, whether I love them, whether I worship them, whether I despise them, is irrelevant. There's female nature. I'm aware of female nature. I'm aware of Bruce's law. It's nothing to do with my feelings. So my feelings do not impair my judgment at all.
You know what's fun? You know what's funny is that so many men have to, and this is me speaking as a trans woman. They have to like figure out like all this like really like technical scientific stuff about female nature. But whenever a woman did something stupid or said something stupid, I was like, you're a fucking idiot. Like I never put myself in a position to get fucked over by them because, my sexuality never really controlled me. And I don't know if that's just a trans thing or not, because I never allowed that to happen to me.
I made all the mistakes, right? But I only made them once. I got rinsed by a woman once.
Right.
And I thought, fuck this. This is never happening again. The thing is, I was giving shit advice. I told my friends about getting rinsed by a woman, right? And instead of, I had one friend, credit to him, he wasn't a MGTOW, but he said that's out of order, don't put up with it. But all my other friends says, oh, you just got to be a friend, you got to hang around her, she might introduce you to her girlfriends and all that fucking nonsense. I was giving shit advice, they reinforced this shit. But when I made the mistake, I never made it again. I was pissed off, I thought, fuck this is not happening again.
Good.
You see. Yeah, so that's the thing, men make the same mistakes over and over again. And here's the thing, the clone sex attacks, right? This revealed to me how many plastic MGTOW and MRAs there are out there, right? Soon, I'm not sure what's happened, right? All the information's not out there yet, there's contradictory reports, it's very confusing, right? But soon as the reports came out, and a lot of these reports are ridiculous, I don't believe, like gang rapes in train stations or in public and all that nonsense, I doubt it, right? There's been one credible report of rape at the moment, for my opinion, I've looked into it. But as soon as the reports came out, all these MRAs went, oh look, there's a rape culture, that's the real rape culture, that's what the feminists should be focusing on. But to me, that means they're emotionally still in love with women, put their concerns and plights before the plight of men, because men were getting attacked by these gangs from reports, getting robbed and beaten, put in the hospital. As soon as reports turn on women, all these MRAs and MGTOWs go, oh look, women are in danger, that's the real rape culture, that's what feminism should be tackling.
They're still trying to get the female favor.
Yeah, still trying to get female favor. Like, alright, even if these reports are true, that's not rape culture, because you got to understand statistically, even if all these reports in Cologne are true, rape is a very, very rare crime. That's the thing. It'll still be like 6 in 100,000 or something like that. It's a very, very rare crime. So like, even if it spikes, it's going to like double it to like 12 in 100,000 instead of 6 in 100,000 or something like that. It's very, very rare. That's what people don't really. When you look at crime reports, like murders, they're rare. It's shock value, basically, to sell newspapers and get online clickbait. But it's still statistically rare. It doesn't mean anything. It's not a. So like even if rape jumped to like by 1,000%, for example, by times 10, right? It'd still be nowhere near 1 in 4. It still wouldn't be a rape culture.
No. Well, from the FBI statistics in the United States, the statistic is actually 1.3 out of the 167 million. There's 1.3% of women who have been raped.
Yeah.
You know, and they try to say that it's 1 in 4, which would, when you're talking about 167 million women, and you're talking about 1 in 4, that rate would be like 30%, 40%. You know, which is they're not even close. It's at 1.3%. You know, which is not even. It's nothing. You know, no rape is a good thing. Obviously, you know, the girls who did get raped are a problem. But the thing is there, if you look, they try to look at the rape statistics in a way where every woman that has made a claim of rape is rape. You know, that's the problem. And even if it was a fake claim, or if some woman just said, some guy looked at my boobs, so he raped me. You know, that kind of stuff. So there's all these claims that are fake claims, and they look at all of those and say that's why there's a rape culture. There's only a rape culture if a guy sticks his dick in you. You know, then there's a rape culture. If a guy just walks by you and touches your ass, or says you have a nice ass, or looks at your boobs, or brushes your tits, that's not rape. But that's what they've said now.
What probably happened in Cologne is a conflation of rape and groping. And I've got to tell you what probably happened. These robbers, they're smart, right? They're probably smart. They're probably desperate immigrants from North Africa. They're probably part of criminal gangs. They probably come up from a destroyed culture, so they're going to form criminal gangs. And these gangs know that if they grope these women, they're going to distract them and be able to rob them. That was the motive, probably. This is my guess. We don't know what's happened exactly, but my guess is they groped these women, touched them in the arse to distract them, then snatched a handbag, and now you're getting these false, you're getting these hysterical accusations of gang rape. There's something called a false accusation bandwagon effect, and it happened with Bill Cosby, right? That's one example. There's examples of false accusation bandwagon effects in reality. So if such a thing exists, I'm not saying it happened in this case in Cologne. I'm not saying to disbelieve. What I'm saying is to be sceptical. And when I call to be sceptical, I get called a rapist supporter, I get called a woman hater, I get called a cultural Marxist, I get called a liberal, I get called a leftist, I get called a feminist. Ironically enough, I get called skepticism. That's what I call for. With information, like, a lot of the time it takes a while for the true information to come out, actually. Like when that Trayvon Martin case happened, there's a lot of contradictory information, and then the true information came out. I'm just saying be skeptical, be patient, and wait before making a judgment.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you'll always get that, especially with the media. I mean, I don't even watch the news, which I really should, just to see like what kind of bullshit they're trying to shovel out. But I don't even watch it. A lot of the stuff I'll see from people making a video about it, and then I'll be like, huh. Then I'll go check it out. But I don't even watch the fucking news. I allow people right here on YouTube and the internet to kind of give me my news and whatever.
Yeah, same way. I don't listen to it.
I trust the people more than who live everyday life than all these media conglomerates and corporations.
Yeah, it takes a bit of effort, but you can get to the truth in most things. Either something's going to be unclear, or you can get to the truth eventually. It just takes patience and for the details to be released. And you can't trust people's initial reactions to things, basically, because it's based on emotion a lot of the time. It's based on hysteria. There's also an agenda, and a lot of the time there's both sides of an agenda, basically, and sometimes both sides are wrong. It's the truth somewhere else. You see, and I think a lot of even if something's true, people try and twist that truth to fit their narrative. That's another problem.
Right.
Oh, my battery's I'm gonna have to head home. My battery's at 20%. I'm just gonna head home and charge it up.
All right.
So I'm just gonna.
I've
run out of things to say, so I'm just gonna listen to you. You've got anything to say. So.
All right. Take care.
Yeah. Right.
And I think he was just saying he was going to go home and plug his phone in.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, he wasn't leaving. He's actually just going to go back to his house and plug his phone in so he could actually continue to talk.
I've got a very weak signal at home. It'll probably just cut out anyway. And that's what usually happens. Not always, but like 50% of the time it'll just cut out. And when I try joining in again, I'll stay connected for like 5 minutes, and I'm lucky and it'll just cut out again. So I will stop speaking. But yeah, I'm just gonna listen to you two. I've run out of things to say.
Okay.
I think that the best thing about these videos is that it's gonna help a lot of younger guys that are coming up. There's so many guys now that are finding these videos and becoming MGTOW. The thing that I hope though is that they'll become MGTOW longer than a year or two, or a few months, because usually what happens is that pussy is strong, and as soon as they find some girl, they just turn around and go back dating, and they walk back on the plantation, and they forget it. It's like even if you know everything about the MGTOW, you've taken the red pill, and you date a woman, if you at least use that knowledge to your benefit, then it's all right. But a lot of these guys don't. They just forget everything. They go back on the plantation, and they start white knight simping for these girls, and they don't do anything until they break up or until the girl cheats on them. Then they're back into the MGTOW community and they start acting and saying all kinds of bullshit. And then some other girl comes along and then they're all of a sudden in love again and they're off to the plantation again. You know?
Can I interject? Joe, I think that is. It's because human beings, they think in simplistic dichotomies. That's the problem. They think in good or bad. It's probably the Madonna whore complex, basically. When a woman's bad, she's a whore. When she's good, she's a Madonna, and they worship them. They can't think in... You don't worship women, you don't hate them, really. You just understand who the human...
Yeah, they're not being objective.
Yeah.
That's
they're
the
just
problem.
human beings. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not being objective. Like for me, like I don't hate anybody, but I know how nasty, they can be. I never held anybody up on any fucking pedestal. I knew a nasty bitch when I saw a nasty bitch, and I wasn't gonna cave into that bullshit, And I didn't need MGTOW to understand that. I actually, the reason why I sought out MGTOW was because I noticed how men were reacting. And I was like, why the fuck did that happen? Why did he just send to her? What the hell happened? So my whole thing was to understand human dynamics. It wasn't even because I got screwed over, because I was actually in a relationship when I took the red pill. I wasn't broken up with or anything. So I didn't go through any real nasty hard shit. So
that's what needs to happen. These guys need to listen to this stuff, so that when they're sitting there with a woman at a bar, or they're sitting in school or something like that, if we can get them young enough, they'll start to hear these women say things and do things, and they'll be like, "That's what they were talking about," and they'll see everything because an older guy that's more wiser has told them about this stuff, and then when they see it happening, they don't fall into that problem anymore.
And this isn't about developing hate either. This is about understanding the world, understand people and behavior.
Understanding how women are and how they manipulate and how they use men, and if you can do that, you can eventually get out of it.
Right.
And that's the only way you're going to be able to get out of it, is if you finally realize what's going on. Like I always talk about it with the my psychology stuff. You're only gonna be able to stop that if like anytime you give somebody a pill, and it's like a sugar pill, and it's not the real medicine and stuff like that. All that kind of stuff only works if that person thinks the medicine is real. So that's the thing that I hope with them seeing these videos and seeing other people's videos, is that these kids that are coming up will realize that it's fake. It's not a real pill. And when they start listening to these women talk and tell them how I'm different than other women and I'm so great and blah blah blah, and then 2 weeks later they start acting like their old girlfriend, they'll start to realize that they're all going to act that way.
Right.
That it's all right as long as you know that it's going to happen. And once you realize that, then when they're saying those things like, "Oh, I'm not like that," well, you just go, "Yeah, sure, whatever." They're bullshit.
Right, and that's a common flaw that a lot of guys make, is you see they're not objective. They're not objective. Either I'm in love or I hate, and that's not being objective. Okay, so but they're desperate at the same time too. So they need to be honest with themselves.
Yeah.
See, I was never desperate. I was like, fuck that.
Yeah, well, a lot of them get desperate because of the whole, they get to this point where they really want to have sex with a woman, and they can't. And then when they get into that point, lots of guys get into that point where they go out and they start looking for a woman, and when they get to that point, they don't even care who they end up with, and that's what's sad. I see a lot of guys that end up with women that could get way better women if they wanted to, but they just got into that point where they just wanted to have sex with somebody, and they ended up falling. They not even falling. They just got in a bad situation where they ended up with some girl that they didn't really ever want to be with.
It's more than just sex. It's acceptance. They want female acceptance and affection. It's not sex just on its own. The sex represents acceptance to most men, because you get some insensitive men who just want their physical needs met, but most men are sensitive. They want female acceptance, because if it was just
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto, domo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, she got Roboto on us. That's the only reason why I was interrupting.
Yeah.
You're cutting in and out.
I think he finally cut out completely. Oh, there he is. Yeah.
100% of men will just visit a prostitute if they couldn't get a girl, but it's more than that. They want female acceptance.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yes.
I'm sure
And they're desperate for it. Mm-mm.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Coming in and out.
I think about the monks. I haven't seen anyone speak out against them yet.
Hmm?
He was talking about the monks. The MGTOW monks.
Oh, so what?
Yeah. I got tired of talking about them fucktards, you know. The thing is with the same thing with the monks as with the feminists. What needs to happen is people need to start realizing what their real goal is, and just don't pay any attention to them, because the only way they have power is if people actually pay attention to them. You know, like when they go to the UN and they say, we want to speak to the UN, people just need to start saying, no, we don't want to, you guys don't have anything to say. You guys are saying stupid shit that nobody cares about, so no. You know, that's what needs to happen. They need to just fucking tell them to go away. You know, we don't want it. We don't care what you think. We don't care what you have to say. You know, come back to us when you have real facts and real things to talk about. You know, not some bullshit like manspreading and shit. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do have a problem, come to us with solutions. That's the thing. They'll make up some bullshit, and then they'll come to them with some problem, and then they'll state all these things about a problem, and then they'll give some bullshit thing like men are misogynists and there's this blah blah blah, and you know women need to get more jobs and blah blah blah, and they don't really give any. They really don't say anything about how it's a real thing, but then they also don't give any way of like how are you going to solve the problem, you know, because their solutions that they state are just like, it's stupid, it's never going to work, you know. So they don't really want to help anything. They just want people to feel bad for them.
Right.
You know.
Right, and it's like, fuck that bullshit.
Gaslighting 101.
Mm-hmm. You know, I would never have time to respond to people and all this other stuff. You know, my problem is that feminists don't know how to leave shit the fuck alone. If they leave shit alone, you know, then I won't have to respond. You know, and that's it. People are like, well, why are you responding? Because they're saying stupid shit. That's why I'm responding, you know, and you want to drag everybody else's name into the mix, you know, just like in that video I put out about them talking shit about trans people, how, you know, use the right pronoun like "zer" and all this other fucking bullshit.
Yeah. I'm gonna do a video on that actually. That shit's kind of pissing me off, because I think a lot of that has to do with these fucking you know, these simping gay men and trans women that are simping for the fucking lesbian feminists and shit, and they're starting to come up. They're wanting to be even more like original. You know, everybody nowadays, because there's so many people on the planet, and like you're trans, so is like, you know, 450 up to like 202 million people. You know, so you're not really that different. Oh, but I am. I'm not actually just trans. I'm pansexual, and you know, I want you to
It's
not call me
narcissism.
he or she. I want you to call me Zer. You know, and all these kind of things to where they're just trying to like separate themselves from the crowd, and really all they are is just making themselves look stupid.
They're narcissists.
Yeah, you
That's
know.
all that they are. Just fucking narcissistic.
They want people to
pricks.
pay attention to them. That's the thing. Most of the time nowadays, most people don't actually have anyone paying attention to them, and they really want that attention. They really want the limelight on them, so they gotta get you to recognize them in some way, and the best way to do that is to get them to actually acknowledge them in that way. You know, they're like,
Yeah.
look at me. You have to get my pronouns right, and you have to call me Zer, and you know, you're taking up so much time when normally you just meet somebody and you go, how you doing, man? You know,
Yeah.
and you just fucking you're on with your day, and they're like, no, you got to stop, and you can't talk to me like that, and you got to respect this, and you got to fuck you. I don't have time. You know, I got shit to do. I don't really even give a fuck. You know.
Well, that's why I put that video out, because people need to see the difference. Because anyone wants to sit there and say trans people, and it's like, well, can you tell the fucking difference between a trans person and a narcissistic social justice warrior?
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, let me show you. Watch this fucking, what was that, like a half hour long? Watch this video.
Yeah.
And let me show you a fucking trans person. And then you tell me.
Yeah.
What you think?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If a trans woman tries to copy female social bullying, she may have the support of like the LGBT and feminists, but it's going to rapidly backfire because they're not going to get away with it as much as a woman is. Basically, that's what I notice what a lot of them are doing. The real extreme ones, they're trying to be female bullies, basically. They copy that tactic and be socially dominant, be bitchy, and it's really going to build resentment.
Right.
Yeah, so it's definitely not going to work.
Yeah. In a sense, it's almost like a form of white knighting too, saying that behavior is okay and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you do have like stupid trans feminists and things like that. I'm not saying that they don't exist, because they do.
Yeah.
But you know, when
there's so many of these trans women that they'll do anything to be considered a real woman, and their idea of being considered a real woman is to take on this narrative that now that they're not just being like having trouble in their life because they're trans. They're having trouble in their life now because they're trans women, you know. So they have to take on that narrative, and then they want to gaslight for all the feminists, and those people don't give a shit about them at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what's funny about it. They don't care about women, don't, especially feminist women. They don't give a fuck about a trans person. They damn sure don't give a fuck about gay men. Right. They care about women's issues. That's why that's the only reason why you can see that they would put up lesbian and then gay men. Because gay is, if you're gay if you're a lesbian, or you're gay if you're a gay guy. Yeah. So, but they wanted to differentiate themselves. Then they had to have themselves first. So that says that, you know, in the narcissistic frame of mind, that tells you everything you need to know about a lesbian woman. You know, is that it's LGBT. You know, the whole reason why lesbian comes first is because they're first. You know.
Right.
So I mean that level of narcissism, it should be self-evident, and anybody that wants to talk to you about how bad women have it, or you know how feminist women aren't bad or something like that, that should be the first thing, is the first go-to thing you do.
Well, you see
is talk about how there's an LGBT when there doesn't need to be an L.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what? It was called GLBT when men were taking all the risks and doing all the writing and doing all the protest.
Right,
That's when
exactly.
So when they were paving the way, breaking new ground, speaking up for themselves, and when it was nice and safe, that's when it became LGBT, because the gay men had to check their privilege and shut their mouths. That's the way it works.
Exactly.
I
Well,
posted an image.
but here's the thing, though. You know, the gay men and trans women, they probably wouldn't have gotten what they have gotten unless they got the female approval to say, hey, these people should be able to live their lives. See, and that's the problem. That's how gynocentrism, how all that bullshit fucking works. Okay? They had to get the female favor in order for people to be like, oh yeah, gays, they're okay. That's why you have fag hags and, gay husbands and shit like that. But they had to get the favor because nobody was going to listen to what a gay man had to say because, he's just a faggot. This trans woman, she's just some fucking tranny, they're just crazy people until women.
Uh-oh. Did we lose Crossing?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I'm not robot voice at the moment.
No. We lost her all of a sudden. It's not good. She was on a rant there.
Oh, here's I posted.
Oh. Now you're robotic too. Dang it. Well, let's see. I'll stop the live broadcast.
About